Compare cheap van insurance quotes that really do cut the mustard at mustard.co.uk. Details online, authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Luker's Jaguar. Buy your next car or book your MOT, service or repair online. It's game day, and this is the home of Scottish football. It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Good afternoon and welcome to Clyde One Super Scoreboard on Scottish Cup weekend. Celtic St Mirren is the big one in and around Glasgow today, but only after Raith Motherwell, Livy Inverness, Dundee United, Kilmarnock and Ayr Elgin. Hearts are the first team through after seeing off Hamilton Accies. We've got a local derby of sorts between Rangers and Partick Thistle tomorrow, with the latest chapter in the Darvel story rounding off the weekend. I'm Gordon Duncan, and joining me this afternoon you have Gordon Dalziel, Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevins.
It's Sugarly Peg Saturday. I have never known tension like it in the Super Scoreboard studio. We have two Motherwell fans and a producer in the box who is a Dundee United supporter. You go to Raith Rovers Motherwell. Motherwell haven't won a league game in 4 months, but they have won one Scottish Cup tie against Arbroath away. We'll light things strike twice today. And Dundee United against Kilmarnock. Tension is mounting at Tannadice. Great day in prospect.
Certainly is. There is always drama somewhere along the line in Scottish Cup Day. In the last round I wasn't quite sure that we would get it, but we got the biggest shock of all. I just wonder where the big shock's going to come from this weekend. It could be your side at Raith Rovers, or it could be Darvel once again.
I must admit, I do like the Scottish Cup. It excites me. I don't know why. I never was successful as a player and manager in it, but there's always a shock there. I'm sure everyone's looking at my old stamping ground, Gordon, but plenty of football, really exciting football ahead.
Well, I was going to say in the nicest way possible, because it is a delight as always to see you, but what on earth are you doing here? I would have thought a Raith Rovers legend and arguably Motherwell's current most famous citizen would surely have been given some sort of ceremonial role at that game between Raith and Motherwell today.
Yeah, a bit surprised. I was waiting for the invitation,
Never came.
But never came. Look,
I almost feel sorry for him.
I don't look in the past, Gordon. I've done my bit of Raith. I've got the statue, I've got the medals, I've got the captaincy, I've got the leadership, and I'm quite happy to move on.
Their most famous supporter, Val McDermott, said that she's enough bother writing mysteries without getting involved with another mystery.
Seems like a good time to move on then and start going around the grounds, but it should be a fantastic Saturday afternoon. 4 games at 3 o'clock, a big one at 5:30, Celtic St Mirren, and then of course the weekend is nowhere near done. Even when we reach the open line later, we'll have Rangers Partick Thistle to preview. And if Hugh Keevins has already called it the shock of all shocks to see Darvel beat Aberdeen, well, imagine they got themselves into the quarter-final. That's the type of thing that's at stake. And I love this competition, Hugh. I love that we still care about it. It's still hugely important. It's got a bit of everything. You've got Celtic and Rangers over the next couple of days. They'll be seriously looking at silverware, and maybe even as part of a double or a treble. You've got your Kilmarnocks and your Motherwells and your Dundee Uniteds who've maybe not won it in a while and want that famous day. And then you've got Darvel, you've got Ayr, you've got Elgin. Talk about romance of the Cup. You've
got the fact that the people love it. It's not important that we love it, the fans love it. There are 2,500 Partick Thistle fans going to Ibrox tomorrow, and they have no chance in this world. There are 2,000 Motherwell fans going to Raith Rovers, and their team, Motherwell, are on the crest of a slump and have been for 4 months. You've got 900 Falkirk fans going to Darvel on Monday night to see if lightning strikes twice for Darvel or if Falkirk make it into the last 8 of the Scottish Cup. The public love it. That's the most important thing.
We love it as well, so let's get stuck in then. We'll go around the grounds and give you the teams. Remember, you can stay in touch all afternoon on Twitter at Clyde SSB. Whatever it is you want to share with us, that's where you send it, and I will give you the nod after the games are finished to get in touch on the open line as well. So without further ado, let's go to Starks Park. A terrible oversight that Gordon Dale hasn't been invited, but Fraser Wishart has. He is true Scottish football royalty, and he's looking at maybe many people's idea of the shock today, Fraser.
Yeah, I think everybody's looking at Starts Park for the shock, and Motherwell fans are up here in numbers, saw them around the town earlier, and they'll just be hoping that their team can put on a performance. It's almost like a bit of Groundhog Day, to be honest. In the last round, I was up in Arbroath to watch Motherwell. Similar situation for them, poor league form, a tricky away tie, but they played well that day and they won with not too much first, to be honest, and the fans would hope that would have kicked the league form forward and get some good form in the league, but they didn't, and it's not happened. They've lost the 3 league games since, and 1 goal, and that was a penalty last week by Kevin Van Veen. In fact, you have to go back to October for the last league win. So today the Firth Park side are back here in Kirkcaldy to face a team in an unbeaten 11 game run, sees them in the playoff fight in the Championship. So on paper a tougher tie than Arbroath, but Rovers did have an extra time in penalties match in midweek at Dens Park as they reached the Challenge Cup final, which won't have helped their preparation. In fact, they only have 14 players at Dens and they've only got 5 subs today, such is their injury problems. But today, this morning, they signed experienced striker Esma Goncalves on loan from Livy to try and bolster their attack, but he hasn't played much this season and he only makes it on to the bench. Wraith have a decent squad though, some Premiership experience like Jamie McDonald in goals, and they've got William Aki on loan from Ross County. Sam Stanton, Aidan Connolly have played in the Premiership as well, so I think Mother will be aware of the potential banana skin and the potential threat here. But a decent crowd expected. They're hoping for between 4,500 and 5,000, and the Motherwell fans that will come here in big numbers. They've made it clear during the week they expect much more from their players, so they'll hope again, as I said earlier, this is the trigger to get their team's poor season going. For Wraith Rovers, I say, they've only got the 5 substitutes. They line up in a 4-2-3-1. They've got Jamie McDonald in goals, Ross Millen, Tom Lang, Tom Nolan and Liam Dick at the back, Brad Spencer and Scott Brown sitting in midfield, Aidan Connolly, Sam Stanton, Dylan Easton behind the lone striker Jamie Gull. And the 5 subs: Robbie Thompson, Conor McBride, Kieran Nguengwa, Adam Masson and Esma Goncalves. There are 5 changes for Motherwell from a defeat last week at Pittodrie. Ricky Lambie's out completely. Cornelius Goss, Aitchison and Furlong dropped to the bench. In come Casey and Butcher for their debuts, with Van Veen, Tierney and Danzaki always coming back to the starting lineup. 4-3-3 formation for them. Liam Kelly in goal, Stephen O'Donnell, Dan Casey, Callum Butcher and Paul McGinn at the back. Rico Danzaki, Callum Slattery and Ryan Tierney in midfield. Blair Spittle, John Obika and Kevin Van Veen up front. They've got a full 9 substitutes on the bench: Aston Oxborough, Ollie Crankshaw, Jackie Aitchison, Stuart McKinstry, Dean Cornelius, Max Johnson, James Furlong, Sean Goss and Luca Ross. And the referee today, a man often involved in VAR controversies recently, but there's no VAR here today for the ref, Nick Walsh.
Yeah, I think, Hugh, as we said, many people looking at that as the shock, but there are a couple of reasons for that. Obviously you're acknowledging Motherwell's form, but it's also, you know, the fact that they're on the road, whereas your other Premiership versus Championship opposition, Livy, are at home. Ayr, Elgin, none of them are Premiership teams. Dundee United, Kilmarnock's an all Premiership tie, so I am never going to stand here at 2:10 and say it's not a hugely exciting card, but there are not that many that would even tick the shock box if it got to that stage.
I think Motherwell's biggest ally at Kirkcaldy is fatigue on the part of the Wraith Rovers players, who have gone to extra time and penalties. They did win the match against Dundee and it was a terrific achievement for them, but I think it's got to take its toll of those players. I don't like what's going on at Motherwell just now. You bring 9 in, you make 5 changes from game to game. It's all over the shop, but they should just scrape past Wraith.
You wonder in the bigger picture, Fraser, if that is going to be a challenge. Like, today is all about getting through in the Scottish Cup. I don't think there's any doubt about that, but as Hugh quite rightly says, 9 players signed by Motherwell. I thought it was 6 changes today, but I won't argue too much about that. Either way, it's half a team, and you know, if the pressure is on right now as it is, we're already the 11th of February. How difficult is it going to be for Stevie Hamill to actually establish what his best team is?
Well, I think 9 signings for any club in a transfer window like that in January window is a gamble, and it's a sign that they're having a poor season. So it's getting the players that you can and that are available, and quite often those players are not playing at their current club that you've signed them from, or perhaps are free agents, so that they're looking around for a club, because you don't often get players that are regular players, so you've got to get them up to fitness quickly. And I think if you've lost your last 3 games and played very poorly, then I think you've got to try and rotate it. I don't think Stevie Hamill, if it's 5 or maybe 6, will have a look, but how many changes it is, it's a lot, and I don't think you can blame him for that, because the performances haven't been good enough. And when you've got a big squad and you've got players chomping at the bit to get back in the team, then you've got to make those changes. But I do think think it's quite a strong team. When you look at it, there's no real rookie players in there. Of course, they're taking a gamble with Casey and Butcher, both just signed in the last couple of weeks, but both making their debuts as well. They won't have played together, so they're going to be in the centre-back pairing. But that's where the problems have been for Motherwell this year, and they signed Blaney, who I think looks as if he's going to be a player. They've got Lammy out as well, so really no choice here for Stevie Hamilton. But I agree with you guys. I think when you look at Hamilton against Hearts last night, Hamilton also went to extra time, played during the week. It's just too much for these teams with small squads. Ian Murray's just picked 5 subs. John Rankin doesn't have the players to rotate his squad. He can't make 6 changes because he's got such a small squad. So it does take its toll, and I think physically this game will be a game too far for Wraith, and Motherwell will probably go through not comfortably, but I don't see too many problems for them today.
And of course, Fraser, generally fans dread it when a star player leaves or a manager is tempted away, but there's almost been a similar feeling this week in the news that Alan Burrows, on the back of him announcing that he was leaving the club, he's heading for Pittodrie instead.
Yeah, it was a strange one, and by all accounts they're not linked. It's 2 separate things. He was going to leave anyway, and Aberdeen took the opportunity to make them that offer, and I did think from his comments when he left that he was just wanting to take a break, because when you're at a club like Motherwell, one of our Premiership clubs, of course, big focus, but you don't have huge staff. So people like Alan Burrows and other senior staff, they do everything there, and you're working 7 days a week, you're working long hours, and sometimes I think that can take a toll on him. And I thought he would take a break, but I think if you get offered a job like Aberdeen, then you're going to take it. It'll be interesting, because we all know he's a massive Motherwell supporter. So how will it be being in charge of another football club? And that'll be an interesting dynamic for him. But saw him earlier, he looked good, he looked well, he looked in good form. And I wish him all the best. Hope it's a success for him.
Who have Aberdeen got in the cup this weekend? Too early to crack that joke. Get a wee bitter dig in there anyway. We'll
Jim
forgive
Goodwin
him.
sends his regards.
We'll forgive him eventually. Wraith Rovers against Motherwell should be a very interesting one for Fraser Wishart. What about an all Premiership tie at Tannadice, Dave Galloway?
Yeah, both Dundee United and Kilmarnock, Gordon, will likely see this game as a welcome distraction as the relegation battlers square up for a place in the Scottish Cup quarter-finals. Whoever comes out on top will get a much-needed boost, that is for sure. United fans have been protesting, of course, against Sporting Director Tony Asghar, would be placated a little bit at least if their team wins today. Now, they face a Killie team desperate to move a step closer to a hand on return, but to do that, they'll have to overcome a shocking away record this season. Last time they won on the road was way back in August with a victory in the League Cup at Hearts. Nice to see, incidentally, that before kick-off today there will be a minute's applause for goalkeeping legend Billy Thompson, who played over 200 games for the Tangerines, including their run to the UEFA Cup final in 1987, and of course he was a coach at Kilmarnock for a number of years. He very sadly passed away last week, aged 64. To the teams then, and a couple of changes for Dundee United. It's Aina and Cujo in for Edwards and Pollitt. So it's Birigiti in goals. At the back, McMahon, Mulgrew and Aina. Midfield, Smith, Sibbald, Levitt and Niskanen, with Middleton and Cujo playing off Fletcher. In attack, the subs for the Terrors: Newman, Graham, Doom, Behic, Anaku, Freeman, Thompson, McLeod and Petrie. As for Kilmarnock, well, 3 changes for them. The men coming in: Stokes, Alston and Lyons. Out drop Alabiozu, Polworth and Power. So it's Walker in goals. Across the back, Stokes, Wright, Mayo and Chambers. Midfield, Armstrong, Alston, Lyons and McKenzie, with Vassell and Deutsch up top. The subs: Hemming, Power, Jones, Sanders, Murray, Robinson, McInroy, Alabiozu and Wales. And your match referee here at Tannadice is Alan Muir.
The Tony Macaroni Arena then, Livy, one of the success stories of the Premiership in recent seasons. I'm sure they could look to add a bit of a cup silverware to that. Inverness, not so long ago, they won this competition. David Friel.
Yeah, interesting one here, Gordon. I think, with all due respect to the teams, I don't think this would automatically be classed as an eye-catching tie, one of those glamour ones, but there's been a lot of attention on this game. It's just 10 days ago Livingston actually expected to be playing Queen's Park today. For those who don't know, Oncall's Spiders beat Inverness 2-0 in a rearranged 4th round game. Everything looked fine, but then they were thrown out for fielding Ewan Henderson on loan from Hearts, who hadn't actually been registered for the original tie. Queen's Park felt it was harsh. They appealed to the SFA, but rules are rules. I'm just wondering if Davy Martindale would actually rather be taking on Queen's Park today, because Inverness are a bit of a bogey team for Livingston. They won here in the League Cup group stages this season. Back in July they won 2-1. They also put Livy out of the Scottish Cup just 3 years ago. In fact, Livy have failed to beat Cali Thistle in the last 5 attempts. I think they've only got 1 win in the last 9 or something, so they don't really tend to do very well against the Highlanders. It's 4th in the Premiership, 6th in the Championship. You'd think Livy would be favourites. They haven't actually reached the Scottish Cup quarter-finals for 18 years. I was quite surprised by that stat. As I said, Inverness do have a decent Scottish Cup pedigree. Still a couple of players from that team in 2015 you mentioned. Aaron Don's on the bench, Danny Devine starts his central defence, and Billy Dodds obviously also lifted the trophy with Rangers back in the day. So while Livy are favourites, I do think this should be a good contest. Inverness are a good team, they've got some good players that can play at a higher level, and I think they will look to make the most of their second chance. Livy 3-1 win over Kilmarnock last week, very very good. They've made 3 changes from that game. Iobalai, James Penrice and Jason Holt are in for Morgan Boyce, Christian Montano and Sean Kelly. Shamal George in goals, Nicky Devlin, Jack Fitzwater, Iobalai and James Penrice at the back. A midfield 3 of Stephen Kelly, Scott Pittman and Jason Holt, with Stephen Bradley and Joel Newbley either side of Bruce Anderson. Subs for Livy are Hamilton, DeLucas, Longridge, Montano, Omionga, Sean Kelly, Shinnie, Bahambula and Guthrie. As for Inverness, their last game was 2-2 with Morton last weekend. They've made just 2 changes. Sean Welsh, really experienced midfielder, and Nathan Shaw are in for Zach Delaney and Aaron Dorn. So it looks like a sort of 4-4-1-1 formation for Inverness. Mark Ridgers in goals, David Carson at right back, Danny Devine, Wall Stuffy as the centre halves, and Cameron Harper at left back. Midfield 4 of Jay Henderson, Scott Allardyce, Sean Welsh and Danny Mackay, with Nathan Shaw in behind Billy Mackay, the goal machine, up front. Subs for Inverness are Cameron Mackay, the sub goalkeeper, Hyde, Dorn, Dees, Delaney, Boyd and Strachan. The referee at the Tony Mac is Don Robertson, and there is no VAR in use today. David Martindale this week spoke at length about it. He basically said the 2 clubs decided it wasn't worth the money, so make of that what you will.
Of course, that was a hot topic a couple of nights ago on Clyde One Super Scoreboard. What about Ayr United against Elgin City? A chance for 2 teams, neither of them in the top flight, to progress to the quarter-finals. And we've sent one of Ayrshire's finest sons, Roger Hanna, along.
Yeah, and it would be great for either team to get into the draw for the last 8 on Monday evening. Gordon, Ayr having been to a semi-final, this is Daz's day at the club. And Elgin, well, you have to go back 55 years for their last Scottish Cup quarter-final. This season's competition has been kind to them so far. It's only been teams from beneath the SPFL have faced Camelon Juniors, Hillabeath, Hawthorn and Drumchapel United in the last round. Gavin Price's side currently sit 5th in League 2, and they stayed at the Park Hotel in the car park at Kilmarnock Rugby Park ground last night to prepare for taking on Killy's Ayrshire rivals. They don't arrive in the greatest of form. Their win in the last round against Drumchapel actually was their only win in any competition since the 2nd of January. Ayr did lose last weekend to Championship leaders Queen's Park, but they're still second in the table, and they're dreaming of a fine finish in both League and Cup. So much so, they felt they could reject a £250,000 bid from an English League One club for 16-goal top scorer Dippo Akinyemi, and he will lead the line today. I think the thinking down here is that, you know, they can bring in an even greater sum of money with an extended cup run, perhaps a lucrative draw on Monday night, and maybe even a bit of action to get towards the Premiership for the first time in many a long year. I'll give you the teams. Gordon, at Ayr start with their cup goalkeeper Aidan McAdams in goal. It's a back 4 of Jordan Houston, Alec Kirk, Sean McGinty and Paddy Redding. Across the middle, Josh Mullen, Ben Dempsey, Paul Smith and Jaden Mitchell-Lawson, with Rhys McAleer tucked in behind Akinyemi. On the bench, Albinson, Mackenzie, Ashford, Billum, Waterett, Bryden, O'Connor, McAllister and Tomlinson. A couple of changes for Elgin from last weekend. Still Tom McHale in goal. It's a back 4 of Angus Mailer, Jake Dolzanski, Ross Draper and Owen Cairns. Darryl McCarthy sits just in front of them. Then it's a midfield 4 of Russell Dingwall, Brian Cameron, Rory McEwen and Tom Finlay. And up top, 25-goal top scorer Kane Hester. Quite an interesting Elgin bench as well, Gordon. Cooper, Lawrence, Allen, Hoban, Jevon Anderson, son of former Scotland defender Russell. There's 51-year-old goalkeeping coach Stevie Dunn on the bench as cover for Tom McHale. And the last named substitute is one Chris Antoniazzi, clearly the talented member of the family. The referee at Somerset Park is John Beaton.
Yes, brother of our very own Gabriel, who you will hear later on from Celtic Park. Do you not know that?
No.
On the
Kept
bench
up
for
his
Elgin.
sleeve.
But he's not got as many trophies.
I'm sure that is the case. We'll hear Gabriel's defence of Roger's slander a bit later on. That's you up to speed then on the 3 o'clock team news. We've got the 5:30 game that we've alluded to, Celtic St Mirren, so plenty of time to build up to that one. Now, what we often do at this stage on a Saturday is pause, take a look back at some of the week's biggest stories, debate them, discuss them, and we'll do that next. And now a word from our podcast sponsor, Lookers Motor Group. They've got Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. The Land Rover showrooms can be found in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showroom found in Hillington. And right now at lookers.co.uk you can browse and shop 24/7, value your part exchange, order and take delivery from the comfort of your own home. Every approved used Jaguar, Land Rover or Volvo comes with a minimum of 12 months warranty, roadside assistance, MOT test warranty, an independent mileage and service history check, software updates and lots more. Check out lookers.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now back to the podcast.
Action as it happens. And your reaction from 5 on the open line. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson and Gordon Dale are in the studio. The top team round the grounds are all set for a super Saturday in the Scottish Cup. Lots to look forward to. 4 big games at 3, another one to follow at 5:30 between Celtic St Mirren, and of course they're all spread out across the weekend. Rangers Thistle and Darvel against Falkirk still to come. Now at this stage on a Saturday, regular listeners will know we tend to get all the guys involved. We don't get to speak to everyone at once during the week, so we look back on some of the week's biggest talking points. And it feels like Roger Hannah. I'm going to start with you for a number of reasons, because you've got your journalistic hat on, and also last time we spoke to you was Monday night, when, correct me if I'm wrong, there was no real mention on the show of a certain Australian Celtic manager and a certain vacant English Premier League job. But since then, that's been the sort of dominant story across Scottish football this week.
It certainly has, yeah, and you can understand why. You can understand it from both sides. The job that Ange Postecoglou has done at Celtic in under 2 years has been little short of phenomenal. So it only makes sense that teams like Leeds United would have him on a shortlist if they're looking to replace Jesse Marsh. And the shortlist as the week has gone on, Gordon, has got shorter and shorter and shorter. Carlos Corberán signing a new deal at West Brom, Vallecano blocking any approach for their manager Arne Slot over at Feyenoord, seemingly distancing himself from the job as well. So you just wonder what is being said in the boardroom at Ellen Road, and you wonder how Ange Postecoglou would receive such an approach. You know, it's easy for people to say, oh, he's got unfinished business at Celtic, he's only won one league, he's only won one cup, he didn't make the impact he wanted to in the Champions League groups. But we have seen before, not just the lure of clubs, the lure of that league down there and the finances on offer down there. If Brendan Rodgers can go to Leicester City, if Steven Gerrard can go to Aston Villa, then it doesn't bend logic to think that Ange Postecoglou might have his head turned by Leeds United. But as you said in the show last night, at the minute it's all theoretical.
And yet, David Friel, most of the Celtic fans who've got in touch this week would argue that exact point against Roger Hannah. They don't think those examples are relevant. They do think Ange Postecoglou is either under different circumstances, or he's a different man, or both.
Yeah, and I can understand it, Gordon. Look, timing is everything in football, and I don't think the timing would be, and we're speaking hypothetically here, would be perfect for Ange Postecoglou. I think he's the type of manager who would benefit from going in during the summer. If he's going to move club at all, I think he wants to get his methods across. He's got a very distinct playing style, so I don't think the timing would be great for him if he was to go mid-season anywhere. But as Brendan Rodgers showed, as Steven Gerrard showed, timing in football, you sometimes have to strike with iron hot. Ange Postecoglou's reputation is at an all-time high, I would argue. And maybe down the line, I don't think it will be Leeds. My gut feeling is that Leeds time won't really come to anything, but I do think down the line, maybe the timing for him when he does leave Celtic, and it could be years down the line. He looks a happy man, but the timing could be uncomfortable for Celtic, put it that way.
I suppose the perceived differences in character between Ange Postecoglou and Brendan Rodgers, I've got no idea. Like, people have got their own opinions on that, but in terms of stock being high and comparisons about timing, could you not argue the case, David, that Brendan Rodgers had certainly done all he could do at Celtic, whereas that might not be the case yet for Ange Postecoglou? Yeah,
and I would agree, and as I said, I think he could happily stay as the Celtic manager for years. The reason we're talking about it is that he's had an eye-catching 18 months, Gordon, and as Roger said, any mid-level club in the Premier League in England who are looking for a manager, especially Leeds given the style of manager they want, are obviously going to look at Ange Postecoglou. I'd be surprised if people weren't considering him as manager. I do think in an ideal world he'll stay at Celtic for a long time to come, but you need to be asked. You need to get an approach to really make that decision. As I said, I don't think it will be this time, but there probably will come a time down the line where he thinks to himself, and he is 58 now, you know what, I fancy that. And again, the timing might not be ideal when that day comes.
I mean, Hugh, look, it's been there's been a fun element, if you can call it that, on social media this week, where the Celtic fans would listen to this show and say, why are you even talking about this? You're scared of Ange, you want to drive Ange Postecoglou out. And yet at the same time, Rangers fans are saying, listen to you lot bumming up Ange Postecoglou and saying he deserves a job in the English Premier League. If you cut through all that noise, that madness up here, the reason we're able to still discuss this on a Saturday is because it's not been confirmed nor knocked on the head by either side. They didn't even get the chance to hear from Ange Postecoglou yesterday. It was John Kennedy. Leeds have not really done much because, as Roger says, a couple of the guys that were above Ange Postecoglou in the list have ruled themselves out. So it is just left there for people to speculate about.
The most important development in this story will come around 5 o'clock today, when Ange Postecoglou is obliged to speak to the television rights holders who will cover Celtic's tie against St Mirren live with the 5:30 kick-off. Ange Postecoglou will of course be asked the question, and I think he's obliged to give a definitive answer. Celtic yesterday posted magnificent financial figures. They have £50 million in the bank. Wealth is created for football clubs by the people who support them. The Celtic supporters put the £50 million in the bank because they buy the Champions League packages, and they buy them in such numbers. Celtic are now cash rich beyond any other Scottish club, beyond the wildest imaginings of most of the other Scottish clubs. I think that the club, the supporters, are entitled to get an answer to what the week of speculation has been about. And I also think Ange Postecoglou, of course, will come onto the radar of clubs like Leeds United because of what he's doing here. But if I were Ange Postecoglou, I would wonder why a manager from England, a manager from Spain and a manager from the Netherlands went so far in their talks with Leeds United and then didn't go there.
And yet, Roger Hannah, I'll be a hypocrite here, because as the presenter of this show, it'd be great if Ange Postecoglou gave some big dramatic soundbite, but you would also sort of respect the fact that he might well say, well, I've not had an approach from Leeds, or, there's nothing in it. I have nothing to say about that. So that could be a possibility later.
Oh, absolutely it could. And whatever happens, Gordon, Ange Postecoglou is in a terrific position. If there is no approach from Leeds United, if there is never an approach from an English club or a Spanish or Italian or German club, he's still in a very good job. It's a job he clearly enjoys. It's a job he's having remarkable success in. And he is beloved by those Celtic supporters who have phoned SuperScoreBoard through the week, to discuss this link with Leeds. So he's in a good place.
Well, I think so. I agree with Roger in terms of where he is and how happy he seems. But I'll echo what I said on Tuesday, that when this came up, it's as much a compliment to the Celtic manager and the club as anything. But I don't think it's so far out the realms of possibility that it happens. Having seen what happened in recent years, that we all, took our breath away when Brendan Rodgers, remember the day well when he went away, everyone's saying, well, where did that come from? Then Steven Gerrard, and I get people saying they're different characters, but the football and the lure of that league can tempt anyone away.
To put the same counterpoint that I mentioned earlier, though, Brendan Rodgers had won back-to-back trebles, had 2 cracks at the Champions League group stage, followed by a failure to reach the Champions League on the third occasion. So how similar are those, other than the fact that he left and it was a shock?
I cannot pretend to know what Ange Postecoglou's targets are. I can't. I don't know if it's a treble, I don't know if it's the last 16 of the Champions League, or I don't know if it's I've rebuilt this club to the stage it's at and it's time to move on. So who actually knows that? I hope he stays here. I think he will stay here at this time, and I agree with the guys. I don't think he'll be the last club that when a manager goes in England, which we are seeing regular, and I think it's 10 up to 10 in that league, or is it getting close to 10 in that league? So it continues to happen. He will be mentioned by another big club.
I think David Fraill's quite right in what he says. He says it's all about timing. It's for a manager and a player. You've got to have the right feeling. Is this a time to move? Is Leeds United the club that I need to go for? We're talking about tonight that he's got an obligation to come out and I don't think he will. I think he'll brush it aside. I think that's the kind of guy he is. I think John Kennedy was put off yesterday. I just think he wants to concentrate on playing St Mirren tonight and getting in the next round of the Scottish Cup. So I don't know. He might come out and address it, but I think he'll push it to his side.
I could understand if he pushed it to one side, Gordon, prior to the game beginning, because he could say, I've got a cup tie to win.
Not afterwards.
But afterwards, he is obliged.
I always think, though, I think that those are quite awkward scenarios, because I don't know the way it was worded, I must admit, when, the Feyenoord manager or other, whoever it was that sort of distanced themselves. But if I was any manager in that situation, I would be, I don't know, I'd feel a bit embarrassed to distance myself from something that maybe hadn't been asked yet. Do you know what I mean?
But you can come at it from the other end.
Just, I'm happy here, and etc.
The reason why,
to be fair, he said that before, hasn't he?
The reason why Brendan Rodgers is vilified, and I use the word advisedly, vilified by the Celtic supporters, is that they felt used by Brendan Rodgers. I was in this studio with you, Gordon, on the day that he upped and left for Leicester City, and the shock among the Celtic supporters was palpable.
It took us 6 weeks to mention his name again on the show.
Exactly. So if the fans felt used by Brendan Rodgers, don't make the same mistake. Just tell them they created the wealth that was announced yesterday. Just tell them the truth.
This, of course, was John Kennedy speaking yesterday. He was in front of the press. It was, by all accounts, pre-planned. He was always meant to do it yesterday. I know cynical people might think otherwise, but it was always meant to be a plan that he did yesterday's press conference.
Just tied him with the chair upstairs and get a couple of security at his door. So no, I said, listen, there's always speculation. I think, credit to the manager in terms of the job he's done here. I think it's a bit like players. When players come in and they do well, they get linked to other clubs. I think the manager's shown himself his abilities as a manager. I think when you do that and you have success with that, you attract attention, and that's what's happened. But ultimately, there's a lot of speculation. That's what it is. There's a lot of noise, but I know firsthand the way he works. He's really focused on his job here. He loves being here. He's in the middle of building something very special. So I think his mind's firmly focused on being at Celtic and doing the best he can here.
We had a theory on the show last night, Roger Hannah, from a Celtic fan, who called in and says actually he thinks what this is all going to end up in is a long-term contract announcement for Ange Postecoglou. Would that be a possibility?
Oh, I think anything would be a possibility, Gordon. That's what happened, as we mentioned a few minutes ago, with Carlos Corberán at West Brom, an announcement of a new deal. There's been lots of chat in the background, sometimes in the forefront as well, about Ange getting a new contract. He's still working on that 12-month rolling contract, but I think, being honest with you, I think it would be naive of us to think that somewhere between coming in a year past in May and enjoying all of the success that he has and bolstering the squad and helping enhance those financial results that Hugh was speaking about, I think it would be naive to think that at some stage, quietly, in that spell, Ange hasn't been rewarded for the outstanding job that he's done so far for Celtic. So I don't necessarily think it needs to be all the bells and whistles of here's Ange on a new 5-year deal. I think both Celtic and Ange will be comfortable with the situation they're in just now.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like one time when Gordon Dalziel got 3 Beat the Pundit victories in a row, producer Callum slipped him a brown envelope with a tenner in it just to reward him for his hard work.
If I get
his success.
If I get 3 in a row, I'd be looking for more than a 10.
What do you think, David Field? Because I must admit, I hadn't opened my eyes to the possibility of some secret behind the scenes acknowledgement of Ange Postecoglou's success. But whether it's a player, whether it's a manager, like we saw West Brom do it the other night, didn't we? It was their manager that was touted for Leeds, and their response straight away was a new contract. He's happy with that, and they know that either their guy stays, or if he is tempted away, then the club gets a lot of money for it.
Yeah, it's normally a form of protection for the club and the manager to an extent as well, in terms of a bump up in cash. But no, I've probably been hearing whispers for about a year, Gordon, that he was about to sign a new long-term deal. It's never happened yet. I'd agree with Roger. I think somewhere in the background, I dare say, Ange Postecoglou's rewards at Celtic are greater now than they were when he was first appointed. He seems pretty relaxed about it. He has been asked in the past about signing a long-term contract and said, those things don't really bother him too much. He's just focusing on the here and now. And as for what he'll say today, I would bet my money that he'll just say it's not on my radar and just try and brush it aside later on.
think that's verging on a certainty, knowing the press conference scenarios like we do, but we will find out. We are, of course, building up to that game. You've still got a while. You've got a couple of hours to go before Celtic St Mirren, but fear not, because 4 fantastic cup ties before then, and we will go back around the grounds for the 3 o'clock games next.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson, Gordon Dalziel. I feel like we've passed that sort of threshold as well, when you couldn't even make it to Kirkcaldy now if the invite came in. So we're going to have to leave Fraser Wishart to it. But as we mentioned at the top of the show, it is everyone's idea of the potential cup shock. And again, Fraser, we were just actually talking about it a bit during the break, of just trying to find some sort of blend for Motherwell, whether it's at the back, Stephen O'Donnell, Paul McGinn. So one of them, probably Stephen O'Donnell, will play out of position at left back. They did sign a young left back in the window, but he's not been given the nod to play. Is it Obika and Van Veen in a front three? Is one of them getting asked to do a job that's a bit out of the ordinary? It's a challenge for Stevie Hamill to blend all this together.
Yeah, and he played his normal formation 4-3-3. I think that's the way he's played most of the season, but last week went to 3-5-2, and it was Stephen O'Donnell and Ricky Lamy and Paul McGinn as the back three, and that didn't work as well. And you see young furlongs come in, and that's always a danger. You're taking a young kid who's probably miles away from the Brighton first team, and has he ever been near a first team? Is he going to be ready to come into this type of situation at Motherwell? Possibly not. Still developing as a player, so he's back on the bench. And in the middle area they've got 4 quite similar midfield players in Slattery and Dan Zaki and Tierney and Spittle. So they play a diamond and go with the 2 up front. So I think when you get to Stevie Hamill's situation, we discussed it earlier, and you were right, he's made 6 changes to the team, and that's a lot of changes. He's just searching for the right formation and for the right personnel, and hoping that if they get one result, they'll kick the season on. I mean, if they lose today, then where do they go? They've got a relegation battle, and the heads will be down, and a team already devoid of confidence in the games I've seen them in is going to really struggle for the rest of the season, I think.
Yeah, how does that work? Because you would look generally, Fraser, at a manager who is under pressure, as the phrase goes, whatever that means. I know that means different things to different people, and think that a defeat to a lower league opponent in the Scottish Cup could be the final straw. It could be the one that you don't recover from. But is there also a different scenario where the league is such a priority that, I don't know, the outcome today doesn't have that impact? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, no, I see what you mean, and thinking the opposite way. If they go and they win 3 or 4-0 here, then that can lift them, and lift their real confidence. Because you look at their team, it's a strong team, as we were saying earlier. It's not as if it's full of young kids or inexperienced players. It's a very, very strong Motherwell team. But sometimes it depends on the defeat. If it's a heavy defeat, then the pressure comes. There doesn't seem much point to me to the Motherwell board giving Stevie Hamill the opportunity to sign 9 players, and then within a couple of weeks of the window closing, getting rid of them. So I think they'll stand by him in the short term, but every defeat, the pressure builds and builds. And for Stevie, as a Motherwell supporter, Motherwell player for 90% of his career, it must really hurt him, and especially when he looks at his team and you've got Scotland internationals in there, you've got really top players with lots of experience, then they must be wondering, how can I get a tune out of these guys? What formation can I play? And the most difficult thing for any manager is putting confidence into a player, because guys like Gordon, Mark, myself, we've all been there when we've had parts of our career where the confidence is just gone, and it's down to yourself as an individual, and it can come back just as quickly as it's gone. And a good performance here today, and I think they'll win by a couple of goals, because as she was saying earlier, that I think the fitness will tell. I think the fact that it rated at 120 minutes and penalty kicks during the week, I think that will just take its toll, and that might just be the trigger for Motherwell's season.
The absolutely ludicrous notion. I trust everything Fraser Wishart says normally, but the idea that Gordon Dalziel's confidence could go is quite something. But I get what you're angling at there.
I think you're entitled to be demanding of Motherwell today, in the sense that they are playing a mid-table Championship side. They're not playing Barcelona, they're playing a mid-table Championship side. They are from the Premiership, and although they are, as I said earlier on the crest of a slump, you have to be demanding of these players. Wraith have had 2 hours of football midweek. Motherwell haven't. Wraith are mid-table Championship, Motherwell are from the Premiership. You are entitled to demand victory today.
I take on Fraser's point about why do you bring in 9 players and then sack a manager? But if Stevie Hamill, and I don't think he will, I think he'll get a result today. If he do lose at Starts Park today, I don't see him being charged next week. I think you need to put, yeah, it's as strong as that. The Motherwell fans are up in arms. This guy is a legend at the club. Now that's getting forgotten about because of the results, because of where they are in the league. Yes, you can argue, well, why back him? But they needed players anyway. And if he can't get a tune out of them, Graham Alexander, I always listen to Motherwell fans. The criticism constantly with Graham Alexander was he never picks the same type team. No matter even if he wins the following week, there are 2-3 changes. It's the same pattern here. Stevie Hamill, I don't think he knows what his best team is. I know he's.
I mean, how could you as well?
Well, I've got to explain that. He's got new players in, but he's got to get these players in somewhere and start hitting the ground quickly, because he is going to get relegated. And as much as you can say, well, you don't sack him, because you can't sit back and know in your heart of your hearts, and if he do lose today and get put out of the Scottish Cup, I do not think he will survive that. I don't care who you are.
Well, high stakes then at Starks Park, according to Gordon Dale. The thing is, Roger Hannah, when you talk about a cup shock, you look for the headline recipient of that shock to be a sort of Premiership club. But actually, on paper, in terms of league placings, there's a much bigger gap between Ayr and Elgin than there is between Raith and Motherwell.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, the Elgin, they're still striving to get into the promotion playoffs in League 2, but this would be a massive bonus for them, for their finances as well. You know, they spent a bit of money last night bringing the team down. They stayed in Ayrshire overnight. They've got quite a few supporters down here who I think have been enjoying the hospitality by the seaside this morning. So it's a big day for Elgin City. 55 years since they've reached the last 8, and they will, you know, they'll appreciate the significance of this afternoon's fixtures. But they're playing a very good team, Gordon. I know they didn't look at last Friday night at Queen's Park, but this has been an exceptional season for Ayr United under Lee Bullen. They have done exceptionally well in the Championship. They're still very much in the shake-up, not just for their promotion playoffs, but to actually win the Championship title this season. And you could, by Monday at 5:30, have 3 Ayrshire teams in the last 8. Because if Kilmarnock can do away with that horrible away record and win at Tannadice, Ayr win today, and Darvel are guaranteed to be in the draw, because they get, you know, the draws before their game with Falkirk at Recreation Park up the road on Monday night.
So I always feel like the Ayrshire Tourist Board puts him up to this stuff. I mean, who's counting the number of teams from Ayrshire in the next round of the Cup apart from him?
Look, there are rural people.
Don't you? You're about to upset someone, I can tell.
Rural
Think carefully.
People. I wish Ayr all the best. I am not a bitter man. Elgin knocked out Drumchapel United. I am not a bitter man. I just hope they get bleached.
Let's hear from David Martindale, head of Livy Inverness.
I want to do better in the Scottish Cup, me as an individual, but definitely Livingston as a collective. So very vocal on that. If we can get through this tie, you're one away from Hampden, which is where everybody wants to be playing football. We were lucky enough to get to a cup final at Hampden, a semi-final at Hampden previously, but that was during COVID times, and we never got to experience that with our families, our friends and the fans. It would be incredible to do that with fans allowed into the stadium, but that doesn't, I'm not underestimating the task in front of us. Inverness are going to be a really, really difficult game.
That build-up has been overshadowed this week, David Friel, as you mentioned earlier, because of the lack of VAR, if you like. So for anyone who doesn't know the long and short of it, you could obviously have it at Livy because it's a Premiership ground. They've decided not to save a bit of money, and some people think this is a strange decision. What's your own take on it?
I think it's a piece of nonsense, Gordon, to be perfectly honest with you. This stems back to the previous round. It was exactly the same situation. The Premiership clubs who could have used it had the chance to opt out of it. I think the SFA should really take the matter out of their own hands, to be perfectly honest with you, and make a decision that if VAR's available, it has to be used. I mean, what happens today if someone, you know, there's a real controversial decision that could have been reversed? I just don't really see the point in it. Surely if we've got VAR in these stadiums, you use them. I don't think it should come down to clubs choosing. And I think Davey also said at one point, I couldn't really get my head around, where he said that if it had been Hearts and there'd been a bigger crowd, they probably would have used it. So I just can't really get my head around. I just think if VAR's available, you need to use it.
Who pays for it though? Because it would have to come out of Livy and Inverness. You would surely acknowledge Davy Martindale's and Inverness's wish to just pocket more money.
Yeah, but is that what this is about? Is it just come down to Livy and Inverness wanting more gate money? I mean, as I said, I don't know if the SFA can subsidise it in some way. It's their poster tournament, if you want to call it that. I just don't think it's a good look that, up here you've got 8 games in the quarter-final, and there's certain ones that could have VAR been used, and I think it's the same at Tannadice today, and it's just not being used because clubs would rather, I don't know, is it £4,000 or £5,000 extra they're getting? I just think it looks a bit tin pot, to be honest with you.
Well, had they be playing Hearts would have brought 5, 6, 7,000 fans to the Tony Macaroni, and therefore they would have been able to pay for it and still made a handsome profit. Today they're playing Inverness Cali Thistle, who bring a motorbike half full with supporters, and that will be the reason why David Martindale has said, no more money out of my budget. I think David Martindale in this instance is 100% correct.
You'll agree to disagree, because we're moving on quickly to Dundee United Kilmarnock, and an interesting one, Dave Galloway, because again on paper this would be the closest tie, if you like. There's nothing really would constitute a shock here. There are only 3 points between each of these teams in the league, so not a lot to separate them.
Indeed, Gordon, and one would hope that these two sides, away from the pressure of trying to beat the drop, they'll be able to hopefully express themselves a little bit better and serve up a cracking cup tie. United knocked today's visitors out of this competition last year after extra time at Rugby Park, and they obviously have home advantage this afternoon. By all accounts it's going to be a very close one. Everything points to that, but remember Killie, on the other hand, they had a good run in the League Cup recently. They made things very difficult indeed for Celtic in the semi-final. Can they draw on the positives from all that and get an also elusive away victory?
Let's hear from some of the staff ahead of that one then. I say staff because it wasn't Derek McInnes, it was Tony Docherty.
You can draw a lot from that game, but every game is different. The fact that performance level was so good on that night, there's so many things that we did right, and again, I'm saying if we can emulate that type of performance, replicate a lot of the individual performances, then it'll give us more of a chance of winning the game.
And of course Liam Fox in charge of Dundee United.
Well, I'm excited. It's Scottish Cup, so it's a wee bit of a break from the league campaign, so that's good. It's everybody always looks forward to the cup weekends, and we'll hopefully win the game and progress and look forward to being in the draw. But we know we've got a very difficult opponent. We've played them numerous times now, last week, so we'll be pretty familiar with each other, so we know what to expect. But it's a cup and we're looking forward to it. We want to be a club that hopefully continues and consistently goes deep into these cup competitions. If we manage to do that, which we know is going to be difficult on Saturday, that it will hopefully give the players a wee boost. But listen, I don't look at the players and think that they're really, really low on confidence.
And the scene is set. Is there going to be a Scottish Cup upset on a Saturday afternoon? You will find out next.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson, Gordon Dalziel in the studio, and the top team are just settling down to take in some 3 o'clock Saturday Scottish Cup 5th round action. We love this stage of the competition because this is when you're getting ever closer. Yes, there's some romance left. Yes, there are some smaller teams looking to cause shocks, but we also slowly begin to shift the focus to those who are going to go on and try and win the thing as well. So with that in mind, I think the real reason that they spread the kickoffs throughout the weekend is to give you guys a chance of a Saturday afternoon ACCA. You've got not a hope of getting all 8 games, but maybe just the 4 on this Saturday afternoon. What do we think? What's it looking like?
I'll take Ayr to beat Elgin,
okay,
Motherwell to beat Wraith, Livy to beat Cali Thistle, Dundee United to beat Kilmarnock, and tonight
I will get to them later on.
Right,
go on then, the 4 this afternoon.
Go on now.
Ayr home win, Motherwell away win, Livingston home win. I'll go for Kelly to beat my old team United. Yeah,
some Dundee United legend, Timmy.
Just being realistic. Sorry, Callum.
Honestly,
sorry, mate.
That's ridiculous. I'm going Ayr, Wraith, Livy, Dundee.
Some Motherwell fan you are.
You're going to get your passport revoked at Strathclyde Park when you try and cross the border.
I just think Motherwell, if they lose the first goal today, could be all over the place.
What if they don't?
They'll win the game.
Great insight. I love that cutting edge punditry. I was about to give you a compliment there about your current residency in Motherwell, but I feel like taking it back after that prediction. But it did get me thinking, because we were joking earlier about, why are you not at the game? You're a Wraith legend. You are one of the most famous people, I would suggest, to currently live in Motherwell. I wonder if you are Motherwell's most famous resident, right? Which might say more for
Motherwell
than you, so I'm not sure how much of a compliment it is. I wonder who it is. Now, this is just a personal crusade I'm on, maybe, having been from that part of the world. I recognise people might be listening saying, I couldn't care less, but I think it might be you. It might be.
Well, I've got a steelworks named after me. A
high school, yeah,
named after me.
Steelworks is spelt differently though, isn't it? So I don't know if we can give you that
credit. The Bakers is gone.
I think I'm surely a matter of time before, at a minimum, a Christmas light switch on offer comes in, because I not that I know every resident, but I don't think there will be a more well known, well loved resident of Motherwell than you.
Look,
genuinely,
Alan Burrows.
He's about to move, and he's not more famous than the Dazzler. Are you joking?
Not a chance. No. Listen, I can't put up an argument against you. I'm totally with you in this one.
I'm serious.
Who does the yearly switch on of the Christmas lights? I'm just wondering why you've been overlooked on so many occasions.
Maybe they just get someone in from slightly nearby or whatever.
Yeah,
but I think in that central area, I can't think of a more famous Motherwell resident than you. I can't.
You were born there as well, didn't you?
Yes.
You showed me the hospital, didn't you? You were born.
I was born.
When we were walking to the game.
I was born in Airbus Road. Yes, I lived in Airbus Road.
It's got to be.
That's got to be weird as well.
Do you think you're Cumbernaulds' most famous resident?
No, because I don't live there anymore.
Oh, neither you do.
And then Cumbernaulds vast. It's an up and coming.
Motherwell's vast. What are you talking about?
But Cumbernaulds really up and coming. Motherwell's.
Excuse me, I will not hear a bad word said.
Doldrums.
Apparently, the last one, producer Callum tells me, he's gone back to 2019. But who did it more recently? Some guy from Love Island did it in 2019, apparently. And he's not even from the town.
Yeah.
What an oversight.
Yeah, they've obviously got a good agent. I don't put myself forward. I'm the shy type this stage.
I can see that, yeah.
I do a lot of good promoting Motherwell. The Yellow Estate, obviously named after me as well. There's a few there.
To be born, and live now across the road from where you were born, that's crazy.
It brought me back, Mark. I left. I obviously had a terrific career. I moved. I was all over the world. I was Australia.
From my
everywhere.
limited knowledge, I've settled on it's you or Stephen O'Donnell.
Well, it's only me.
I mean,
I don't know. Stephen O'Donnell's got a good shout for it.
Yeah, but he's never
Jack
really.
Grealish up in the air.
Well, look, I do agree, but he's never really played with a big club like myself. I played with two massive clubs. East Stirling and Raith. I got that in before you. But you don't play with Rangers and City if you're not a big name. Come on.
I now take it back. You're the second
Have
most
Manchester
famous.
City not got enough to worry them without the Dazzler being in their background?
Anyway, Hugh, enough of stroking his ego. Let's do this.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Cheeky little question this. Name the 6 current or former Old Firm players currently in the top flight who've made the most appearances in the Scottish Premiership era. Now that started 2013-2014. Name the 6 current or former Old Firm players currently in the top flight who've made the most appearances in the Scottish Premiership era.
Wow, I do like that question a lot. Hold on, just in case we've got an update. No, we don't. I thought it was a goal coming in. So, yes, Hugh says there are 6 current or former Old Firm players in the Scottish top flight who've made the most. Who are the 6 current or former Old Firm players in the top flight who've made the most appearances in the Scottish Premiership era? All I'm going to say to you on this one, okay? I'm going straight in with a clue at 3:05, which tells you how tough it's going to be. One of these answers is unbelievably difficult. One of these guys only played one league game for Celtic or Rangers, but since then, he's gone on to make a lot of appearances in the Scottish Premiership, and he's still in the Scottish Premiership. Okay? That's what I'm telling you. Right? That's all you need to know. At Clyde SSB, we're looking for one tweet with the 6 answers on it, and you need to beat everyone else to the punch. You can read the question there on Twitter at Clyde SSB. And again, if you need it from me, can you name the 6 current or former Old Firm players currently in the top flight who've made the most appearances in the Scottish Premiership era? One of them, very tough, and Mark Wilson's got it off my clue already. Do you know what I loved though? Do you know what I loved? You turned round, You had the light bulb moment. You pointed to a team on the league table, and it's not the team that he played for. But he used to play for them. Anyway, Dumbarton 1, Annan 0. Ryan Wallace with the goal. Albion Rovers 0, East Fife 1. So in the couple of league games that we've got going today, they're having a nice early start on the goal front, but none in the cup.
I think there's so much tension involved in the cup ties. I mean, can you imagine? Stevie Hamill's stomach must be churning at Wraith Rovers. Gordon Dalziel has underlined the importance of the day for him. He feels that if Stevie Hamill loses this match today, he might thereafter lose his job. So you can imagine what's going through his mind. At Tannadice, Liam Fox and Derek McInnes, awful in the league, need an uplift, a psychological uplift. So I understand why tension could result in goals being sparse.
Scrappy start at Livingston.
David Friel messaged me 1 minute ago to say scrappy start here, just for Gordon Dalziel, he says.
Yeah, scrappy start. Usually 4 minutes, it was 3 minutes. Bit concerned about him.
He didn't say that last week, was
He
it?
says it
Scrappy
every
start.
week.
Because it was 3 of the best goals you'll ever see at
Yeah, but
Livy within about 16 minutes.
He gives it 4 minutes. Oh, scrappy start.
The lower league action is the place to be today, because Forfar 0, Stenhousemuir 1 as well. Sean Crichton with the goal on 8 minutes. So no problems whatsoever. You've got one Championship game today, Morton Queen's Park. Hugh, we shouldn't overlook it. Yes,
no.
The Scottish Cup is the headline act today, no doubt about it. But particularly with this Queen's Park story, they should have been, or they could have been in the Scottish Cup today. They earned a place in it and then got booted out for fielding an ineligible player. So I'm sure they'll be feeling quite sore about things, but a good chance to add to their league position.
A chance to go 7 points clear of Ayr United, who are in second place as we speak right now. So for Onie Coyle, that's the target. Go 7 clear, keep on going towards what would be a truly extraordinary story. Queen's Park, once the amateurs of Scottish football in the top flight. That's the story.
Just on Morton as well, we seen them at Celtic Park a couple of weeks ago. Looked good. They were good at the start of the season, just tailed away. They couldn't quite keep the pace with the big hurts at the top of that league. I fancy Queen's Park for that one today.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one. You've got one game in League One as well, Airdrie and Dunfermline, and then it's almost actually a full card in League Two. But of course Elgin are in Scottish Cup action, which means them and Stirling Albion have to sit this one out as a result. So there we are, that's your full picture across Scottish football today. If there is anything from elsewhere that tickles the fancy, I'll keep you up to speed. I know we obviously focus on things north of the border, but if there's anything big that happens down south, maybe that links to us, I'll keep you across that as well. What was it you called it? What's the big game down south on your radar?
The M23 derby, Crystal Palace against Brighton. That's the big one for the Seagulls.
That is a big rivalry, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or relatively big, not big in our terms,
Gets
but
a
you
bit,
know what I mean.
Gets a bit lively in the stands as well.
Well, is it the closest place to Brighton?
I think
Because Brighton can't have many that are close by.
Yeah. There's a bit of history dating back to a game that ended in controversy. But you're right, geographically, you're on the old M23, take you up the road to Crystal Palazzo.
I visited that stadium once down at Brighton, the Amex, beautiful.
Oh yeah,
sat on the bench right enough, and
it was old one. I was that.
Yes, it is more than geography, this one. So apparently it started in the 1970s after a series of controversial matches caused by a feud between Alan Mullery and Terry Venables.
Yeah.
So there you go. For anyone who cares. Bruce Anderson's gone down injured at Livy. I'm sure David Martindale will be a little bit concerned, but hopefully he shakes that one off. They have a free kick 25 yards out, not related to that injury to Bruce Anderson.
I wonder if he'll be calmer today than he was in the last round of the Cup away at Steny, where someone recorded him giving a rant. And
listen, hold on, this one's at home. This is at the house of Martindale. Do you think anyone in their right mind would take the risk?
No chance.
It's when he's gone to one of these away grounds where anything goes, and there'll be various
anyone that's been in that corridor at Stenhousemuir will realise that both dressing rooms are right by each other. It's right by the tunnel.
This is not me having a pop at small clubs, because these people are the lifeblood, but it's easier to happen. There'll be various sort of volunteers milling around, or as you say, it's a bit more accessible. I remember one night, try to raise it from my memory, Motherwell went out, must have been the League Cup, I think it was, at Capello, right, in the Ian Barraclough Stephen Robinson era. And the press, as you know, Hugh, as well, there's no real facility. So at Capello, you just make your way down and you just kind of stand at the touchline just next to the tunnel. And there was a full-scale Barney going on in the Motherwell dressing room. You could hear every bit of it, and it didn't sound like it was just a shouting match either,
Really?
to be quite honest. And you're all kind of standing there like you couldn't not hear it, you know. It was very. And obviously I had my own personal.
When Sir Alex was ranting and raving and getting the nickname of Sir Furious, and when he kicked the cup that hit David Beckham, people took that to be part of his legendary status. So I think if Davy Martindale goes off his head, good for him.
He'll have that soundproofed, won't he? That lovely dressing room. If I could soundproof my boy's room for his computer noise coming through.
Is that what it's for?
Yep.
Every manager.
He's turning 16 next week, so
he's got you wrapped around his finger. Dad, don't soundproof the room so I can play the Xbox. How daft are you? Seriously?
Have you
not been a teenage boy before?
Forgot what you got up to.
Anyway, enough of that. But if he did, you're right. And the great thing about the way David Martindale operates at Livy, if the room is soundproofed, he'll have done it himself.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's easy enough.
The panelling and
your shop being
every
Hugh.
manager in the world goes off his rocker. Let's be honest about it.
Did you?
Unbelievable I was.
Did
brilliant.
you?
I was brilliant at it.
You were brilliant.
Yeah.
Going off your head.
Yeah. There's a few half-time rockets I gave out. Yeah. Oh yes.
Do you know what I love? Because exactly he has a tough enough time keeping a kind of train of thought going when he's calm. Can you imagine when he's like his emotions are high? He would just start randomly plucking different topics from the air. Bruce Anderson's gone off, by the way, so that's not ideal. Christian Montagno's come on. Nubly through the middle. James Penrice has moved one up on the left for Livy, so a bit of a reshuffle there. Obalai had the first chance. It was a back post volley wide. No chances at Starks yet, but Motherwell 4 good crosses and no one on the end of them when Obika and Kevin Van Veen are playing. But to clarify, because I know you guys questioned this before, it does look like Danzaki and Van Veen either side of Obika.
He is one for you relative to Gordon Dazzler DL. Former presenter of this programme, on a temporary basis, an emergency draftee, Gavin Pearson, presenting the programme, and at the microphone check at 2 minutes to 3, he called for the Dazzler, whatever he was, and didn't hear anything. So we thought there's something wrong with his mic. So the programme started, and on we went, and as you've done today, Gordon, at 2:20 there was a break, and during the break he said, Gordon, are you there? And apparently the Dazzler went off on one. He hadn't been heard of in the first 20 minutes in the programme and went off and chewed Gavin Pearson into little bits.
I remember that.
What was the problem?
He was like. That's what it was like.
I was shouting down the microphone. Nobody was listening to me, and I just
take the hint, though. I mean,
yeah. I now know, but in the days I was ambitious, so I'm not got ambition.
Jack Fitzwater's now down injured as well. Livy are dropping like flies. Wraith have started bright as well, though. Good, nice passing football as you. They've
got some nice players in there.
Expect recently looking sharp, but still no goals.
I was going to say, if I'm in that Wraith team and I'm the full back on the side that Van Veen's playing,
you're up and down.
I'm having a field day because he's not going to chase you back. That's why I was questioning the front
take
three.
The mickey out, you going the other way.
Van Veen,
absolutely.
He's not that type of player, is he? He's a big.
He would boss you about. You're a bit of soft touch. Everybody seemed to have bossed you about, hasn't he?
Well, Ronaldinho and Messi and Ronaldo, maybe,
but listen, go out with average players as well. There's people that you played with the Barton bossed you about. You know what I mean?
He had no knees by then.
All right, okay.
That wasn't hard.
He had his 20th knee operation that summer, and things were going downhill. What a game between Forfar and Stenhousemuir. Level already. Stefan McCluskey on 16 minutes, pulling Forfar level.
The mighty Queen's Park, a goal up at Capello.
I missed that one. Who scored that one?
Grant Savory.
Glad you're here, keeping me right. And I can tell you a good response on that teaser. I thought they would. I mean, it is still difficult, but I thought it would be particularly tough because we're looking for the top 6, right? But see, if you look at the guys on the list who are number 7, 8, 9, 10, for instance, they're all perfectly reasonable answers, and they're maybe only missing out marginally, so it might be tough to separate the top 6, but keep them coming in at Clyde SSB. In fact, let's do one nod to that already. Hugh, give us the question if you can.
Yeah, name the 6 current or former Old Firm players currently in the top flight who've made the most appearances in the Scottish Premiership era, which began 2013-2014.
Okay. See, Derek FM he's 2-footed, studs up, yellow card straight away.
How?
Because he's ignored one of the key elements of the question. Current top flight players. Scott Brown, no. Chris Boyd, no. What is it? Would tick those boxes, but is not on your list either, Hugh. Alan McGregor.
Well,
why not?
That is the one. Right, we believe we had all 6 here.
Mm-hmm.
And we showed Hugh it,
right.
And Hugh says Alan McGregor no, because he went away for a long time.
Yep. I don't know why are you so confused about that, Gordon? It's quite simple. He's not played as many Scottish Premiership games as the other guys on this list.
But
we just thought he did.
You're one shot. These two are one shot.
I like KP Jer's style, because if in doubt, don't give me 6, just give me 10 names and hope that it sticks. So a couple of other wrong ones, Hugh, might be Charlie Mulgrew.
That's a wrong one.
Jason Holt.
Not there.
And to be fair to KP Jer, though, they've got that one that I said was really tough, because they've only played once in the league for Celtic or Rangers, but then went on, played a lot for other Premiership clubs, and they're still in the Scottish Premiership. Colin McNeil has done it with a few. He's gone the likes of Connor Goldson.
Nope.
Not enough appearances to make it on this list. Elgin almost taking the lead against Ayr. A Ross Draper header cleared off the line by Ben Dempsey. I did say it, I know it's not the headline act, Hugh, but if we're going to be official about it, that would be the shock in terms of the distance between the team. However, maybe we do have a shock on our hands. Penalty Wraith.
Told you. I told you.
If you say the first goal kills
goal's
it,
crucial. You said,
first goal, Motherwell will crumble.
What if they missed the penalty?
Cadbury's. Oh, there's no chance of penalty. They're good at penalties.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Jamie Gullen makes no mistake. It was a handball, which a Gullen shot that struck the hand of Callum Butcher, who's just come into the Motherwell team. No VAR, of course, and the penalty was given, and Jamie Gullen scores it. Wraith 1, Motherwell 0.
That's the way Stevie Hamill's luck is running. You give a guy his debut after signing him in the January window, and he concedes a penalty. So if it wasn't a mountain to climb at 3 o'clock, it is at 20 past.
And just with that goal, the players, the confidence levels that the guys were talking about before, just gets drained away. You sometimes think, I can't do right for doing wrong here. A tough afternoon ahead for Motherwell.
This is where Stevie Hamill goes back to the players coming out and saying, look, we back the manager. So if you're going to back the manager, you need to roll your sleeves up now and get back into this cup tie. The only good thing about that for Motherwell is, yes, disappointing to lose a goal. There's still plenty of time. But they have to show a bit of character.
Fraser Wishart says Wraith didn't even really claim for the penalty, and it was very strange. Doesn't sound good to me, that, Fraser. I don't like the sound of it.
But
well, to be fair, you can't it's at Starks Park.
Fraser
there's no VAR debate.
Ex-Motherwell, a legend for the long throw-in. So obviously we know where his colours are.
It's great because I've not even seen it, but I'm already convinced that this is that pesky handball rule that's causing chaos again.
I read one
seemed to hit Butcher between arm and body. Says Fraser Wishart, don't do this to me. Being bad is one thing, but when you're getting harsh decisions.
I read one Championship player this morning talking about the standard of refereeing in the Championship, and Motherwell are at a Championship ground, and he said that the standard of refereeing, to his way of thinking, is diabolical. So whether they're the victims of a bad decision or not, then they'll have to just get on with it, because they're a goal down and Queen's Park were a goal up, and now they're level.
Yeah, Morton 1, Queen's Park 1. George Oakley with the goal there. Kelly, bit of a half chance. Doidge couldn't connect with a header after a free kick into the box. Inverness are getting stuck in. Nearly 2-0 to Wraith. Lang with a header just over the bar.
Motherwell's hope is that the longer the game goes on, the more it takes its toll of the Wraith Rovers players. But to go 2 down, I don't think Gordon Dalziel is a way back if they go 2 down.
Absolutely not. But they're still in the game. The next goal is so important at Starts Park. I've got to. I know the lads, and I do understand the argument about it. Run a small squad. Wraith Rovers had a difficult game the other night. The fact that it went to extra time against them, I take all that on board. But do you know something? This is probably the biggest crowd of the season. Scottish Cup. It's amazing, the adrenaline, the lift. We've all played in these big games, and you don't think 1 minute, and especially if you go 1 up in a Scottish Cup tie, that you think you're tired. So I just think the next goal is the big one.
What a game at Capello. Morton 2, Queen's Park 1. George Oakley with a quick fire double. Queen's Park had taken the lead. That quick fire double from George Oakley turned the game on its head, and I suspect we're not done there, but maybe we'll find out what happens. Short corner, Livy, Bradley taking it, then get the ball back, shooting over. Livy pressing, nothing clear cut. Another decent chance for Elgin. Tom Finlay hitting the ball wide, should have hit the target.
Ayr will not get a better chance to get into the next round, Gordon, and I hope they go and further what I achieved in the Scottish
Cup.
Cup. Yes, I do. I really do. I hope.
Where did you get to?
Semi-final against Celtic. Twice. And if you can achieve that, maybe in a...
You must have got some luck in the draw.
Some luck
to get there.
Every team I played was a Premier League team. That's some luck. Have a look at it.
That's when the rotation system started.
Semi-final.
The big boys.
Dundee United, one of your teams, Premier League, out. Kilmarnock twice or 3 times, out. I was just... Tactician was... I don't know why I'm sitting here. I really don't. They're a waste of talent in this studio.
There will be a few theories out there, I'm sure. I'm absolutely certain of it. Keep your guesses coming on that teaser. We are on our way to a shock. Maybe not that much of a shock for some people. Wraith Rovers taking the lead against Motherwell. Jamie Gullen with the penalty there for a fairly questionable handball, according to Fraser Wishart. What else do I need to bring to your attention? Nothing really at the moment. Looking forward to the rest of the fixtures, Hugh. Don't get me wrong, I do bemoan the fact they are spread across the weekend. It's not so good for us, but it kind of keeps the drama going, I guess.
Well, Celtic Park this evening, very interesting. There'll be an Ange Lovin by the supporters, and that's why I think it's important he speaks either before or after the game. Tomorrow, big occasion for the Partick Thistle fans. 2,500 of them bought tickets. Great for them, but Rangers are the holders. Michael Beale has got to be intent on winning both cups, because he won't overtake Celtic in the league, and Celtic will have their second championship title under Ange Postecoglou. So lots to be going on with.
This is a fair point. I remember this. I was there, unfortunately. You ruined my weekend. The Ayr beat Motherwell 4-3 at Fir Park under your management.
Yeah.
You kept your half and half scarf tucked in your jacket.
I'm not too sure. I think we played Motherwell twice. I could be, but I'll tell you what.
Remember it.
What a game that was. That I had to change my formation to the diamond and push my 2 fullbacks high up the pitch. The rewards we got were incredible.
He couldn't even remember the game because he didn't mention it a minute ago, and now he's apparently got
forgot about it because there
were so many of them.
So many, the Premier League teams. Roger Hannah will tell you it's all there in black and white. I don't sit here
I was
and
there.
make
I don't need
things up.
Roger to tell me. I was there. I remember it.
What age would you have been?
About 10.
10?
Yeah. Did you notice the
get
guy in the dugout with the baggy suit?
Did you get a photo
Just
with
for
me?
men.
Did you get a photo with me after the
I was
game?
hurling abuse at you.
What did you go for the suit again? In Scottish Cup, did you change your attire?
I did. I did. I went Versace. A bit tight round the waist, but
it's funny because actually, for some reasons, as a youngster, I kind of started off sitting in the Cooper behind the goals, then went to the East Stand on the far side. But I feel like I remember being above you. I feel like I was in the main stand that day, so I don't know why that would be as a 10-year-old.
It's amazing.
There must have been a reason.
It's amazing. You're looking at a hero, thinking one day I'll work with this guy.
Yeah, amazing.
And there it is.
Truly.
Your ambitions.
The Motherwell want their most famous resident to be a compulsive liar. Is it the question I ask you?
That's all there in black and white, you. 4-3 seas later.
Chaos the Panda was in black and white.
He
and
was-
he came
he-
on and battered you, beat the pundits. So it wasn't all good in your Ayr United days.
He actually helped with the half-time team talk.
Make more sense to you.
He changed the tactics for you. Who was your assistant down there?
Who's my assistant?
Remember? That's not a good start.
I had a couple. I had Ian Monroe at one point.
Beaky.
Ian Monroe, yeah.
I cannot believe you're not just rhyming these off.
Unbelievable.
I know.
I was
here's the
more
thing.
about me than the staff.
This is how you know he's a liar. Well,
a liar.
this is how you can confirm that he's a liar, Hugh, because yes, it happened. That bit was in black and white, but he's banging on about a Versace suit. Roger Hanna's found a picture from that day.
Let's see that, Gordon.
I'll describe it since this is radio.
Was it my tracksuit?
Tracksuit bottoms,
Yeah.
GD on
Yeah.
the thigh,
That's gaffer.
an
gotta be
Ayr
socks.
United jumper, GD on the breast. The jumper is tucked in. Tracksuit bottoms.
I got a belt on.
The big collar. The Just for Men is still going strong. A naughty side shed. Look at this.
Let's see. Oh, that's a boy. Yeah.
That's exactly what I pictured.
The pin up, the Versace suit was in the dressing room for after to go to the Fir Park Club.
Absolute dinosaur of Scottish football material.
How many years ago do you think that was?
You've just
April
Thousands.
2020.
What?
No, hold on. For some reason, it says that at the top, so the story was updated then, so they must be looking back on something. I thought it was 99-ish, so yeah.
24 years.
You
There
just
you go,
weren't up
Hugh.
to speed with the fashion.
2000, nah, in fact, 2000 I would guess. Average change.
Sold a lot.
2002. Oh no, 2000, right. Producer Callum, I thought said 2002. There we are, 2000.
Sold a lot of that equipment, that gear,
Merch.
and merchandise. Yeah.
See, that's an interesting meeting of minds, you and Ian Beaky Monroe, because he was one of the intelligentsia and you're more down to earth.
Yeah, I got rid of him.
That was a polite way, Hugh, of putting that across there.
I eventually sacked him. But I worked well with Ian, but unfortunately I moved on.
He's in America now and prospering.
Yeah.
He thinks of you often.
John Higgins has been in touch.
The John Higgins?
Yes, the John Higgins. He's not having it at all that you're the most famous person in Motherwell. He says Tom McKean, the runner, is more famous than
Oh, I
Dalziel.
remember Tom McKean, 800 metres, yeah.
There they are. You've been bumped down.
Listen, he turned out a policeman or something.
I don't know. Yes,
Yeah.
me.
Tom McKean, behave yourself. Higgins, couple of trophies, and he thinks he's famous for Wishaw.
The Wizard of Wishaw.
That's just up the road. That doesn't count, and he doesn't live there anymore either. So
Yeah.
bump him out. So,
And nobody likes him.
Why is everybody
feel like
bailing
big
out of Motherwell except you?
Because I know where my roots are, Hugh.
Yeah.
I'm loyal,
Yeah.
as you've noticed with my 3 marriages.
could you name? I think you could name any of your team that beat Motherwell that day,
Certainly can.
because you're banging on about your success. I remember the goal scorers. Unfortunately for you,
I think
Actually
Gary
remember-
Teal, ex-Scotland international, found him at Clydebank.
got a double.
Paid 25,000, made a massive profit.
double.
I was like Postecoglou in the transfer
Hurry
market. Did Glenn Hurst score?
Nope.
Oh, I'll tell you who scored. Big lad, curly hair, English.
No, he's Scottish. I think.
Is he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is.
Is his second name start with a T or something?
You joking me here?
I can't remember.
His second name starts with a T. That's all you've got. A guy that scored twice for you in one of your most famous
He wasn't.
cup victories.
I know. Tarrant.
No.
Crystal
Tarrant.
Tarrant. There you
Neil
go.
Chris's boy.
Yeah, good player, boy.
He almost went 50-50 there, but it was Neil Tarrant.
Tarrant.
Any more
Did he
quickly?
score twice?
I don't want to milk this feature
I would
of the
say
show 'cause
John
it's not
Davis
that
played
great,
Midley
could
Park. Andy Millen, maybe.
None of them played. Honestly, how bad
Craig?
are Nope.
Was Nelson.
David Craig, sorry, did yeah.
Nelson and goals.
Yeah.
John Robertson.
Yeah, you're getting better now, but only because I've eliminated all the ones that.
I've no idea who played left
Was
back.
that your greatest cup result?
No, I
I thought
think
it was earlier on in the. That was the 4th round, so he obviously had to go.
No, I think Kilmarnock 3 times. That's a big derby.
Some
Never
names
lost
in
a
that
goal.
Motherwell team.
Oh, by the way, I'll tell you what.
Andy Gorham.
And who's the lad that does the telly now?
Don Goodman.
That's him.
He scored.
Spencer play?
No.
These are pals, isn't it?
There was a winger there.
Did you have John Davis playing for Ayr? He played for Motherwell that day.
I thought that because I said, man, mark him.
Lee McCulloch played.
Who else was in that?
Pat Nevin came on. It's funny about that.
Pat Nevin still playing in the 2000s, aye.
They had some real decent players.
Pat Nevin must have been about 50.
Bruni's team have taken the lead. A good close friend of mine, Sean Rooney, has scored for Fleetwood at Charlton there. And the Seagulls have taken the lead, Hugh.
At Crystal Palazzo, so go on, Seagulls.
You honestly remember nothing about your career that night?
I don't remember that night.
You don't remember what you did to celebrate that night?
No.
You were on Sports Scene as the victorious Ayr United manager.
No way.
Yeah. He's pulled out the designer shirt. I've got a picture of him kicking back in the Sports Scene studio.
No wonder I was popular.
Hey, I'll give him his due. That's the best I've seen him look. You look much better there because not pretty face usually.
The makeup and everything.
The makeup.
Do you know something? I cannot remember that.
Well, it must have been
great. I'll tell you.
Anyway, right. The reason we're going this is your life, Gordon Dalziel, I think, is because there's not many cup updates to tell you about. Believe me, it's not that I'm ignoring them.
The whole thing.
And it's a wraith goal though against Motherwell at Armstrong with the cross headed over by Doidge. Dundee United's only effort and goal so far was a Middleton free kick, which was charged down. So not much to tell you about there.
One goal settled that one at Tannadice. I think unfortunately it'll be for Kelly.
Oh no, VAR is anti-football. It's bad for football. We should just scrub it all together. They're checking the Brighton goal.
Right, the wonders of modern technology, right, and this takes a lot for me because I could have just allowed the narrative as you dislike you to set in. The wonders of modern technology. I've somehow managed to see a video of that Motherwell handball.
And is that a penalty kick in your opinion?
I'm wanting that if it's at the other end.
Right, okay,
that's fair enough.
By the way things are now.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I'd say so.
Can't get fair on that, Gordon.
By the time it hits his hand. I'll tell you what it is to describe it. The elbow's tucked, so that there's not like, but
the arms out, the forearms out,
the forearm, hand, wrist area would all be out.
Well, the way you're describing it, that sounds like a penalty.
I don't think there's a great. Don't get me wrong though. That doesn't mean that's under the current rules. That doesn't mean there's not an element of sympathy because it is blasted at, if it is even Callum Butcher, from 1 yard, right? So I'm talking about the slowed down, zoomed in version of where it hits. But how you footballers are supposed to actually get around these things, I don't know, because it's fired from somebody who's right in front of them. But there we go. Anyway, I digress. So the goal's been cut off, Hugh, has it? The Seagulls? Shame. At 28 minutes for Motherwell to get a shot on goal. Van Veen 20 yards out straight at Jamie McDonald.
With respect, this doesn't sound like a great day for Motherwell thus far. 28 minutes before your first shot at goal, when all the pressure's on you.
Yeah, I mean 28 minutes, I get the point. It's a fairly long time, but I feel like I've heard more dramatic statistics from Motherwell games this season. So
the most important thing is they need to get a goal. They need to get back in this game quickly, because as the clock ticks away, gets to half time, and then the second half, all of a sudden, Wraith, that tiredness will not come into their play. They'll have something to hold on to, and Motherwell could be in trouble.
If it does go to, I mean, Motherwell will need to dig in here and get something, but if it was to go to extra time and penalties, could you recommend anywhere for Fraser to go and spend his evening in Kirkcaldy?
Oh, there's plenty places. Oh no, tell a lie, most of them are knocked down now. When I left, they went out of business.
Good reason. Montagno's dragged a shot wide for Livy. He's been involved since he came on, but still no breakthrough there. Livy Inverness, still nothing. Ayr Elgin, nothing. Dundee United Kilmarnock. So honestly, if you're turned on and you think, why are they talking about Gordon Dalziel's fashion sense, blame the football. You don't blame us. We're completely blameless in this scenario. There's not a lot to get through at the moment. Are your full-time teasers up and running if you want to remind us, Hugh?
Name the 6 current or former Old Firm players currently in the top flight who've made the most appearances in the Scottish Premiership era which began in 2013.
First half teaser, I stand corrected. Joseph Wilson wants to throw in Ricky Richard Forster.
No.
Nope. Paul McGowan.
No.
I don't know if my clue helped, but a lot of people are getting the difficult one. Which I said, you know,
Matt Wilson got it right away.
I played one league game for Celtic and has gone on to play lots of other Scottish Premiership games. Paul Ford would like to throw in John Souttar for good measure.
No.
Okay, and
we've got 5, but
we're struggling with the last one. We've come up with a few suggestions that you would think
paper.
So
just
if you can make out the bottom.
Okay,
the last one's a big name.
As in letter-wise?
No, big name.
But we're doing all right.
I don't know what you want me to say. I mean,
are we close?
No, not necessarily. I think you've just
forgotten about this one.
This
Quite
would
obvious.
be this would be more. You probably slightly forget how long he's played here, and probably a testament to the fact that he plays every week. You know, because era-wise, yeah, he is. He's not been here as long. He's not Scottish. I'll give you that, the one you're looking for. But he's played a fair few matches, quite obviously, to get on this list. The closest one, I think, who's not on the list is Craig Gordon. So for anyone who's guessed that, you can eliminate that one.
Got it.
Let me see. I'll tell you.
We've got it.
Have they got it, Hugh?
Yeah,
they have. God, these two dafties have nailed it at the time. So
good clue, Gordon.
Yeah.
Don't know what that says.
Are we on the podium?
No, I don't think so.
No, we've been good the last couple of weeks, huh?
Excellent, good teamwork.
Did you suspiciously get that after? You're very twitchy with your mobile phone. Is there something going on that you want to tell us about today?
No, nothing.
I just feel like he's like tapping it and like just touching it like a
Stop
tip.
it. I know.
He's taking a call from Versace, who wish to know why they've become involved in a conversation about Gordon Dale.
Do you know what?
Too much later.
Do you know what a debate I got into, right? And this is how much nonsense goes on that I want to share it with you three because you're proper nonsense talkers. On the group chat this week, I think this stemmed from a tweet about Harry Kane that someone saw. What pocket do you keep your phone in?
Top.
Top? What does that mean? Talk to me in quadrants here. Talk to me front left, front right, back left, back right.
Front right for me.
It's got to be front right.
No,
I can't believe
front right.
people don't go. So we're
Front left. All the time.
No way. Why?
All the time.
Are you right-handed?
Yes.
But that baffles me. So if you were to fire off a pocket text, which I'm sure you do quite often, you would take your phone out and then swap it to your other hand.
Yeah.
Madness. Absolute madness.
I feel more comfortable with on the left.
No.
A lot more space over that side.
Everything on the left thigh.
This baffles me. Producer Callum, I tested this theory on him.
Is he left as well?
Back.
He wears shorts all the time. He'll not have any.
I can't. So every time you sit down, Producer Callum, you have to remove your phone from your pocket. How inconvenient is that?
On public transport, the old pickpocketers.
It
Callum,
depends.
you thought of that?
It depends.
No, you
easy
can't
access.
change it. Surely everyone's got a consistent home. For
When I play golf, I put it in my back pocket.
it. That's a bit different. Talking about everyday
when
life.
I walk about, I always have it in my left.
So Hugh, the Nokia resides front right.
Always.
I am always front right, and I can't believe anyone goes. I can't believe there's a variation. I'll maybe let you away if you're left-handed.
I go left because I put my keys in my right.
Nah, still, I'm sorry. That's just,
Is that not good enough?
nah,
for
not
you?
for me. I can't understand that if you quickly wanted to check your phone, you'd need to take it out that pocket and then swap hands. That just so unnecessary. You're outnumbered in here.
I've never run down to that way of thinking.
You've been saved by this.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Wraith Rovers 2, Motherwell 0. Sam Stanton with the goal. And not only could Motherwell be heading out of the cup, who knows what that would mean for Stevie Hamill, who knows what knock-on effect it has for the rest of the season. It is that big a goal from Sam Stanton. It was a Gullen shot that was fumbled by Liam Kelly, and Wraith are 2-0 in front. Elgin are 1 up. Now, I did say that would be a shock as well, and it would, but in this part of the world with the Premiership hat on,
Well, they've got 14 games left in the Premiership to save themselves. Now, Gordon Dale's already declared himself. He thinks if the scoreline at the moment becomes the result, then Motherwell may have to get rid of Stevie Hamill and have someone else negotiate the last 14 games. I know that Wraith have had a demanding game midweek, lasted 2 hours, and I know that I said that fatigue could be a problem, but even before we get to half time, I don't think Motherwell will come back.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that in the box, Gullen does well, turning shot, and it's not an awful defensive block, but the ball sort of spins up in the air, and then Liam Kelly has to react and palm it and can't catch it, and it just all looks a bit chaotic, Gordon. I'm not sure there's any absolutely howling errors in there, but this is all amounting to a completely unacceptable scenario for Motherwell.
At 3 o'clock, my predictions, I went with Wraith because I just thought if they could get the first goal, it would obviously put a dent in Motherwell's confidence. Stevie Hamill, for me, and I think he's a terrific lad, I really do, and he's been a great servant in the club. I think he's just guessing just now. He's in a rut with his team, his squad, and this is going to be probably his biggest half-time team talk he's ever going to produce, right? And if he can somehow turn this round, then he buys himself a bit of time. I'm not saying I don't think the Motherwell fans are now accepting this, Gordon, because not with the fact they're getting put out the Scottish Cup as we speak, they're getting relegated. Let's not be kidding, because they're not showing me anything they can get out of this. I know you can go with the argument 9 players in January, that's fine, but it doesn't matter how many players you get in. If you can't get results, you ain't going to stay in a job.
The intriguing thing about their position, Gordon, is that they're 3 points behind Kilmarnock, who are in 9th place, but Motherwell have a game in hand. You know, survival for Motherwell, if you can find the right formula and find the right person to concoct the formula, survival is easily attainable.
Hugh, the fans are hanging banners outside the stadium. Right.
Did you get your bedsheet back? Pull that, by the way.
Oh no, it was incredible. I did put it through 2 watches.
I think that tells you that you're another bad result away from losing your job. When fans start doing that.
To be fair, I don't know if there is a distinction. It wasn't an anti-Stevie Hamill banner. It was actually just an attempt to
G the players up,
get a reaction from the
but
players.
But ultimately, you can't sack the players. And followed by a result like this, then I do fear for him, because I don't have any belief now that the Motherwell players on that pitch
can come back
from that. You need a lot of character when you're 2 down. Been there loads of times before, but when you've got players that can drag you out a hole, then fine. But you look through the team, the new boys that come in, you might be able to excuse them, but the ones that have been at the club, can they drag you back? I would question that.
Yeah, we'll find out. Wraith Rovers 2, Motherwell 0. Sam Stanton in 39 minutes. We did say in terms of the gulf between the teams in divisions, it would be a big shock if Elgin were to knock out Ayr, and they've gone 1 up. Kane Hester, man of many goals, is taking, and I can't believe this, right? You're outnumbered in the studio, but you're getting good support on Twitter. Michael Horn, Paul Campbell, John Witherspoon, all saying they're right-handed and keep their phone in their left pocket. I'm astonished.
There you go.
How much time must you waste taking it out and then giving it to the other hand to send off a quick
I don't
text?
use my phone a lot anyway, so
you're the day.
Got every 2 seconds.
Listen, and people are saying, give the Dazzler a break. The Dazzler's right, you're talking mince. Ask yourselves this, John, Paul and Michael, who wants to be in the same wavelength as this guy? That's what it comes down to.
There's a lot
here.
of love out there for me, let me tell you.
Just think long and hard about that, then take your criticism back, because nobody wants to be on his wavelength. It goes without saying.
That's a good point.
Come on, tell him about your prediction. You're desperate quickly for half.
What about
Elgin? We bet last week the coffee.
Please gamble responsibly.
Yeah, well, it's just over coffee. Kane Hester to score,
because he always scores.
He always scores, and we bet the coffee over it.
And did he score last week?
No.
But he scored again
He scored this week.
Go on then, Hugh, let's round this off before we get any late drama on the first half teaser.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I asked you if you could name the 6 current or former Old Firm players currently in the top flight who've made the most appearances in the Scottish Premiership era. They are Callum McGregor, Johnny Hayes, Ryan Jack, James Tavernier, James Forrest and Marcus Fraser.
Marcus Fraser was your difficult one, but I gave you a clue early on and lots of you got it, so well done. A really good response on there. Even Mark and Gordon got it. And the winners were as follows: Thomas Snedden in third place, Lundstrom Loyal in second place, and Dylan Patton was the winner. Well done to Dylan. And a great suggestion actually from Roger Hannah. It's a difficult question for you, that thing about the phones, because you keep one in each pocket. Half time, Roger Hannah, you're on the verge of a big cup shock in your game.
Yeah, absolutely. United 0, Elgin City 1 at the break, and it is a deserved half-time lead for Gavin Price's League 2 side. They have been far superior to their Championship hosts in this fifth round tie, and they lead by Kane Hester's 26th goal of the season. They could have been ahead after 17 minutes. Gordon Ross Draper, a Scottish Cup winner with Inverness Cally Thistle 8 years ago, came up for a corner. His header beat airkeeper Aidan McAdams, but was headed off the line by Ben Dempsey. Then in 22 minutes, Tom Finlay drove a shot wide when he really should have hit the target after McAdams had parried a shot. Elgin really on top at that stage, yet hardly carrying a threat to their goal. Ben Dempsey did have a shot turned round the post by Elgin keeper Tom McHale in 32 minutes. McHale then easily fielding a long range shot from Paul Smith moments later. But then the breakthrough, 41 minutes, Elgin captain Brian Cameron lifting the ball into the box. It sat up beautifully for Hester, and an emphatic finish past McAdams to the shock of the home fans here at Somerset Park. Lee Bullen's men have a lot to do in the second half at the break. Ayr United 0, Elgin City 1.
That's the first of the half-time whistles, and I get, look, I'm not trying to deflect. Motherwell will deserve all the negativity, Hugh. I was just pointing out before the show, that would be your biggest shock in terms of distance between the clubs. Imagine Elgin into the quarter-finals.
That would be a sensational story, but I have more belief in Ayr coming back than I do in Motherwell coming back. And as I say, no matter how far down the table they are a Premiership side, 3 points away from ninth place, as I pointed out earlier, and they are playing a team mid-table in the Championship. That's a poor effort from Motherwell so far.
Yeah, we've got a half-time report from Dave and David Friel was first. My apologies. Let's go to Livingston.
Half-time, Gordon Livingston 0, Inverness 0. I'm not sure Davy Martindale will quite repeat that X-rated rant from the last round, but he will certainly be demanding better in front of goal at half-time. To be fair to Livingston, losing their main striker Bruce Anderson to an injury after 10 minutes did disrupt things. That was a worrying sight for Liverpool, but they have been wasteful in the final third with a lot of missed chances. Stephen Bradley, he's been pretty good. He's a couple of efforts saved by Mark Ridgers, but the Inverness goalkeeper hasn't really been troubled enough. Livy's central defenders Obalai and Jack Fitzwater have actually been big culprits. Obalai volleyed over and then dragged a shot wide just before half time. That came after Fitzwater somehow failed to convert a free kick just a few yards out. Christian Montano, he replaced Anderson. He also had a couple of efforts saved, but hasn't really bothered Ridgers too much. Inverness have competed well, but they've been limited to breakaways and haven't really troubled Shamal George up their end. Not a great cup tie so far, but Inverness are still in this. Half-time, Livingston 0, Inverness 0.
Let's go to Wraith against Motherwell just to see if we can hear any reaction. Fraser Wishart.
Yeah, Wraith Rovers 2, Motherwell 0. That reaction, Gordon, has been strong for the Motherwell supporters. To my right, Liam Kelly, the skipper, went back behind his goal to pick up his bag, and he certainly was on the receiving end. And I don't think it's about him personally, more about the team in general. Very animated Motherwell supporters, booing their team off, not happy at all. And there have to be a huge change around the Motherwell actually to stay in the cup, because I have to say it looks unlikely, as Wraith have been the better team throughout. Stronger, sharper, better on the ball, very quick looking, full of confidence, and a penalty from Jamie Gullen and a close range effort from Sam Stanton had the home side deservedly ahead. They wouldn't make too many clear cut chances early on, but it's a decent game. Wraith knocking it around well. Stanton and Connolly very dangerous at their end. Motherwell getting some good crosses in good areas on the right hand side. O'Donnell and Danzaki in particular throwing in 3 or 4 really good crosses, but well defended by the back four. But the opener came on 17 minutes. A lovely ball by Scott Brown, the skipper for Wraith, who's been outstanding in the midfield. Switch of play to Jamie Gullen on the left hand side. He cut in from the left, and his right foot shot struck Slattery, I think it was, on the hand. There's no real claim from Wraith Rovers. It could seem a very strange one. Nick Walsh pointed to the spot, but in replays I've seen it, it definitely looks like a penalty to me. He booked Slattery, and Gullen stepped up to fire the penalty down the middle into the back of the net. It was game on now, and how would Motherwell react? Well, they didn't really react very well, because it was nearly two minutes later when Lang headed a Spencer corner just over the bar with Kelly beaten. It took Motherwell some time to recover. 28 minutes to have their first shot on target. Van Veen did well, edge of the box, really good turn, using his body well, but he shot straight at McDonald. Obika Danzaki should have done better in the box. They weren't sharp enough to get the shots away. Danzaki then, lovely cross again, right across the 6-yard box, incoming Van Veen, and Obika just couldn't get on the end of it. That was their best spell of the game for Motherwell, and it was 2-0 in 38 minutes. Jamie Gullen again involved, turn and shot inside the penalty box. It was deflected, and as it bounced up, it was parried into the air by Kelly, and he couldn't get his hands onto the second ball, and as it bounced, Sam Stanton hooked the loose ball into the back of the net. Huge 45 minutes ahead for this Motherwell team, shown nothing at all in attack, and it wouldn't be a surprise to me if Stevie Hamill made a few changes at the break. Half time here at Starks Park, Wraith Rovers 2, Motherwell 0.
On the verge of a huge story developing there. Well, it is developing at the moment. Let's see how it ends up. What about Tannadice, Dave Galloway?
Half time, Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 0. A fairly even but uneventful start seemed to set the tone very much for this one. The visitors with a penalty claim rejected when Armstrong went down in the box. Killy began to look the light clear side from a corner. United couldn't clear, and Berighetti saved Doidge's feet, and then Doidge couldn't connect properly with Armstrong's cross and headed it over the bar. At the other end, Middleton's free kick was charged down. Plenty commitment and some crunching tackles from both teams, but excitement was in very short supply. Vassell tried to change that for Killy with a good run and a low shot that was deflected for a corner kick, but that came to nothing. The visitors, all in all, carrying a little bit more threat, but there's really not much in it at the interval, and neither goalie has had an awful lot to do. Could this one be set to go the distance? It's Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 0.
Quite a dramatic first half, certainly in Kirkcaldy. Maybe not quite the same drama elsewhere. We'll get ready to embark on the second half next.
The fastest goals, the expert opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Let's do some half-time scores then around the grounds. Remember, it is the Scottish Cup this afternoon, so not as many scorelines to get through for you. But in the 3 o'clock games, 4 of them, you have, if I can find them, Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 0, Livy 0, Inverness 0, Ayr United 0, Elgin 1, and Wraith Rovers 2, Motherwell 0. Celtic St Mirren is still to come at 5:30, of course. There are some league matches in the SPFL today. In the Championship, it's Morton 2, Queen's Park 1. In League 1, it's Airdrie 2, Dunfermline 0. Big game that, near the top. In League 2, Albion Rovers 0, East Fife 1, Dumbarton 1, Annan 0, Forfar 1, Stenhousemuir 1, and Stranraer 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 0. In the English Premier League, don't think there are too many. A full-time result from earlier: West Ham 1, Chelsea 1, Arsenal 0, Brentford 0, Palace 0, Brighton 0, Fulham 1, Forest 0, Leicester 3, Spurs 1, and Southampton 1, Wolves 0. Second 45 minutes, and a really big second 45 minutes at Starks Park in particular, coming up next.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Luker's Jaguar. Here, wherever and whenever you need them. Visit them in store or online.
Who said finding cheap motor insurance had to be hard? You can make finding cheap insurance easier with mustard.co.uk. Compare your car, van or bike insurance quickly and easily online by the team dedicated to helping you find the right policy. For an insurance quote that cuts the mustard, choose mustard.co.uk. Details online, authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Luker's Volvo. Buy your next car or book your MOT, service or repair online. Scottish football's league leader. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson and Gordon Dalziel are in the studio, and the top team are enjoying some Scottish Cup action. Fraser Wishart is on the verge of a real big storyline, and I wonder, Fraser, if there are any signs of Motherwell changes at the break?
Yeah, I'm actually just looking at Gordon at the substitutes warming up and trying to work out. I can't just now see who's not there, because there's only 6 players of the 9 who are actually out warming up at the moment. There was 9 and 3 of them have gone off. So that's a sign to me that there are going to be changes, and you couldn't, as I think you couldn't argue with that. I think any one of the 11 players, because Liam Kelly didn't cover himself in glory for the goal, but certainly the outfield players, any of them could come off. Pretty insipid performance. Started okay, got a few good balls into the penalty box on that right hand side. O'Donnell doing okay, and Danzaki as well. But after that, it's just been all Wraith Rovers. You know, they've been. We talked about their fitness, and the midweek game, it went to extra time. They've been looked fitter, stronger, sharper, just full of confidence, knocking the ball around really nicely. Stanton's been outstanding, Connolly outstanding, Scott Brown, who's their skipper in the midfield, brilliant. And it's a long way back. If Motherwell get anything out of this game, then it'll be a fantastic comeback in a strange way for a Premiership club, because they're so far out of this game. I just can't see them even getting a goal.
In a strange way, though, Fraser, I mean, you would still make the changes anyway. You have to do something, you have to roll the dice. But would it be just that? Would it be rolling the dice? Because Motherwell are where they are in the league table, and they're where they are on their current run of form, because there aren't players you can hang your hat on, and they've added 9 new ones to the mix, so you don't know who you can rely on out of them either.
Totally. If in a long run like this, if you're not playing for Motherwell, then you're clearly out of form. And I can look now, it's Max Johnson, Stuart McKinstry and Ollie Crankshaw are coming on. I can't see Stephen O'Donnell, who looks like he's gone. I think Danzaki, who's just floated around, the game's just kind of passed him by. The new signing Japanese lad, he's gone as well. And I think Ross Tierney might have come off as well. So they're looking to, certainly McKinstry and Crankshaw, to do the business. I might actually be Abika. Yeah, Abika's gone off. So a lot of change in an attacking sense. And no surprise he's made those 3 changes. McKinstry in particular, I've seen Motherwell this year, he's been the most attacking threat, the biggest attacking threat. So I'm surprised he's on the bench. But for him to be your kind of saviour, a young lad like that, then I think that just points to the sort of really difficult circumstances Motherwell find themselves in.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements. Trade accounts available now. Call them today.
Is it as simple then as 45 minutes to save your job, Stephen Hamill?
Probably. Fraser Wishart, the former Motherwell player, has delivered a damning verdict on what's going on there by saying that Motherwell do not look as sharp or as fit as a mid-table Championship team, Wraith Rovers, and Fraser says he cannot see Motherwell get a goal, far less 2, to get them equality and to save themselves on the day. A damning indictment.
45 minutes to save his job. And
I
would say so. Always caveat that by, it's not nice to have those discussions. Yeah. Is it just an inevitability about football now, though?
Yeah, I think so. And just the way it's been going for him. I mean, the result in isolation is bad enough. I know Wraith are mid-table Championship, but still, it's bad enough. But the run he's been on, the performance level today as well to match it. It's not like Motherwell have been battering Wraith and they've went up and scored twice at the blue. Fraser's just told us there. It's been pretty much all Wraith, so that's enough.
100% for me. As much as it pains me to say it, because we all know the lad's a great lad, great servant to the club. But as a manager, it's your job to get results. He can't get results. He can't win football games. So he's made substitutions. Not surprised with that. But I think it's just a case of, I'll make changes because I need to make changes. We hear Motherwell supporters who go to the game week in, week out, and they complain about no structure, no tactical decisions. We've got guys on saying that, Midley Park's not strong enough. We get 9 new players in. We're looking for a lift. It's not happened, and unfortunately in this game it's supposed to be a results driven business. Right now Stevie Hamill is failing in all accounts.
I think when things are bad, Mark, it's easy to leap on absolutely everything, right? Which is a bit unfair. But if even the substitutions, it's like what we said at the top of the show. You're asking guys to come into a new team, a new environment, some of them a new country, hit the ground straight away, and that's difficult in itself. But then if they don't, just take those substitutions. So Abika off at half time, then ineffective. New signing Danzaki, a lot of effort to bring someone over from the other side of the world. Hooked again, ineffective clearly. Stuart McKinstry, young Scottish player who was lauded, not lauded, that's too strong, who was believed to be one of Motherwell's best players on a number of occasions this season. He comes on to save the day.
with Max Johnson, you know, guys that have, young Scottish players who were already there, they were already in the building before all these new players were signed. You're then turning to these guys to go and potentially save your skin. It's just all a bit messy, isn't it?
Well, it's a bit random. McKinstry's the one that I look at the Motherwell team sheet every week, and when I see him not on it, I just wonder why. Because looking from the outside, which I am, usually watch Motherwell much more closely than I do, McKinstry looks the standout player, the one that's the most creative, the one that's most likely to have a pop from distance to get you a goal. And again, he's on the bench and he's come on. So, big 45.
Yeah, huge. A big scoreline brewing there in the Championship. High-flying Queen's Park. It's now Morton 3, Queen's Park 1. Jack Baird with the goal there. Let's do this, Hugh, before we go any further.
Yep.
The second half teaser.
With the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I have played alongside Michael Gardine and Nani. I have been managed by Eddie May and Marco Silva. I lost the only major domestic cup final I played in while I was in Scotland. Who am I? So played alongside Michael Gardine and Nani, managed by Eddie May and Marco Silva. I lost the only major domestic cup final I played in while I was in Scotland. Who am I?
I like that question. Not giving you too much info today because I think it's doable. Very doable. Let's see how you go. At Clyde SSB, we're just looking for one tweet with your name on it, and that is all you need to give us. With the name on it of the Who Am I. So let's see what you've got. Any initial ideas, Gordon DL, Mark Wilson?
Not just now, no.
You're usually quite good at these.
We're digesting the information.
Big result at the top of League One. League leaders Dunfermline 3-0 down at third place Airdrie going in. That was as they stood going into today. 3-0 to Airdrie there, so that really shakes things up.
I can think of one Clyde One presenter who will be raging at that turn of events.
Absolutely. Our colleague Stephen Mill won't be happy, and the team sandwiched in between those two in the table, well, they've got bigger fish to fry because they're off to Darvel on Monday night, aren't they? Falkirk, of course, so we're looking forward to that one. Nothing yet in the second half, so I think a change there for Livy. Curtis Guthrie on for Stephen Bradley, so David Martindale, they've got a bit of work to do as well. Hugh. You know, it's a team that's having a what you would call good season in the Scottish Premiership. That's something you wouldn't say about Motherwell. So if they were to miss the opportunity to go through at home to lower league opposition, that would be a real blow for Livy.
Yeah, Billy Dodds at Cali Thistle, battlers, all of them, and that pulls them through. But you're right, Livy have had what I describe as an honourable season. They don't have any money, they can't even afford to put VAR in for the day. They have a very small supporter base, but they do have Davy Martindale, who gets terrific performances out of his players. I dare say there's been a bit of a rant in the dressing room.
Right, sorry Hugh, how important is this going to be? A goal at Starks Park.
Right.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
And it's a goal for Motherwell. Kevin Van Veen, a left-footed shot from 16 yards, deflected off Nolan and into the net. I'm not sure Stevie Hamill will care how many deflections it takes. It has hit the back of the net, and Motherwell are back in it. They still trail by 2-1. It's still a far from ideal scenario, but they've started the second half the way that they had to, quite simply.
They've given themselves a fighting chance now. Before that goal was scored, I was going to say to you that they're making change for change's sake. It all signals a lack of joined up thinking. 6 changes from one game to the next, then 3 changes at half time in the next game. But now you're talking fighting chance, and you're talking about the Wraith Rovers players who Fraser Wishart said looked fitter and sharper. We'll see what's left in their legs, having played for 2 hours in midweek.
Yeah, not a vintage goal, Gordon, but I don't think this is a beauty contest. They'll take that all day long.
Oh, unbelievable, especially right after half time. I said there, Gordon, before the half time games got on their way again, that it was Stevie Hamill's biggest half time team talk. He had to get in there, he had to make his words heard, he had to get a reaction, and that is a fantastic reaction. And now It gives them that bit of confidence, a bit of spring their step. They'll look to get back into this game 2-2 as quick as possible, but they need to watch, because I'm not convinced that Motherwell are very good at the back.
Mind you, what about the forecaster that is Fraser Wishart? I can't see Motherwell score a goal. 6 minutes later, Motherwell score a goal.
Ooh, hold on, what have we got here then? Let's check in.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Livingston 0, Inverness Calais Thistle 1 are the two championship clubs about to knock out the two premiership clubs. Billy Mackay, how many goals has that guy scored north of the border? And he's got another one today. That one could be an important. It's a volley into the top corner, an early contender for goal of the round. And Billy Mackay, 51 minutes on the clock, puts Inverness 1 up at Livingston.
At the end of the day, you're talking about the team who are fourth in our premiership. There's a Celtic, there's a Rangers, there's a Hearts, and then it's Livy. So, with the greatest respect to Billy Dodds, Inverness Calais Thistle shouldn't be coming down to the fourth top team in the Premiership and winning on their ground. So, Davy Martindale has half an hour to sort this out.
Unbelievable, that one. When you look at the league positions this year and how Livy are going, and then you look at Inverness, who last season went all the way and just missed out, but this season have fell away. But see, when you've got a guy like Billy Mackay in your side, a natural goal scorer, you're always going to give yourself a chance. So that would be a huge shock if that continues.
Yeah, I do agree. I didn't see that coming. I thought Livingston would probably be comfortable in that game, especially at home. Away from home is completely different, but they've no excuses. They're at home, artificial pitch against a championship side. They should be winning that game, but so far all the credit must go to Billy Dodds and his players.
Game on then. We've got some potential drama bubbling away. Motherwell are still losing, but they are back in it, and Livy are also trailing by a goal to nil at home to Inverness. We're not done for the afternoon, remember, at 5 o'clock, because we've got a big one in this part of the country. Celtic against St Mirren at Celtic Park. Let's get an early scene setter with Gabriel.
Yeah, thanks, Gordon. We should be getting team news any minute now, so if it does come in, I will give it to you. Just here at Celtic Park, the St Mirren team are out here right now, and as we all know, they are the only side that have beaten Celtic domestically all campaign. If they were to repeat that feat today, it would be more than a cup shock. But of course, the Hoops are in fine form. A bit of a strange week for them. No midweek game, of course. Their manager, Ange Postecoglou, being linked with the vacant managerial role at Leeds United all week. There was no official approach from Leeds United, but when John Kennedy, the assistant boss, took his place for press yesterday, the rumour mill was in full flow, but Kennedy assured us it had been decided over a week ago. Postecoglou will be on the touchline today, and we're told he's committed to building something very special at the club. And Celtic are starting to gather pace to that special thing. They've got that League Cup final in just 2 weeks' time. A win here and they'd be through to the quarter-final of the Scottish Cup. Of course, Postecoglou losing the semi-final last season, and we all know 9 points clear at the top of the league as well. They did beat St Mirren at 4-0 here a month ago, but John Kennedy was telling us yesterday as well, it's different in a cup. We all know that. It's got more of an edge. There are no second chances. Really looking forward to this one, Gordon. And as I said, team news will be any minute now.
All Motherwell at Starks Park, but still trailing, and we've got another one of these to tell you.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
It's a goal for Kilmarnock away to Dundee United. Kyle Vassell header from a corner, and it is the visiting team that is in front there as well. Not a lot to separate those sides in the league, so wouldn't go down as a shock necessarily. But good time to score.
Certainly is. And Vassell, been a bit unlucky in front of goal, can't seem to get a goal in the league, but he's put his side ahead in the Scottish Cup. I did fancy Kilmarnock today by the odd goal, so going bad for Dundee United. The hope my old team come back.
Bottom of the league, 1 foot towards the exit door of the Scottish Cup. Tony Ashgar, the top man off the park at Tannadice during the week, inviting supporters to come and speak to him about the team. My door is always open, he said. Will there be a queue outside his door at 5 o'clock if this scoreline becomes the result?
Yeah, I was hearing Wraith are looking a bit panicky, and it is all Motherwell, but still nothing there. Killie, the latest team to go in front at Tannadice. I was about to spark a debate about who might play for Celtic. They've got so many options. Will Ange Postecoglou rotate? He played a very strong team at home to Morton in the previous round, remember. But before I could even get that debate up and running, we've got the Celtic team. So take it away, Gabriel.
Yeah, just one change for the Hoops. David Turnbull comes into that three-man midfield for Rayo Hetate, who drops to the bench. So the team is as follows: Joe Hart in goal, a back four of Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter Vickers, Carl Starfelt and Greg Taylor. Captain Callum McGregor at the base of the midfield with Turnbull and Aaron Moy in front of him. Jota off one wing with Dyson Maeda off the other and Kyogo Furuhashi leading the line. The substitutes: Bain, Haksabanovic, Abada, Kobayashi, Iwata, O'Reilly, Hetate and Forrest. So full strength from Celtic.
Yeah, no rotation there, Hugh. I think everyone knows if it was a must-win cup final tomorrow, you probably Hatate would play in front of David Turnbull. But there's no. I saw people speculating: would O start? Would Iwata play? Kobayashi? None of that.
Well, you can't have a weekend in which you rightly, justifiably trumpet the fact that you've got 50 million in the bank, that the Champions League has made you a fortune, and then play with the Scottish Cup, which is the one trophy that Ange Postecoglou has not won since coming to Scotland. So Celtic take their business seriously. I thought that Hatate looked a wee bit tired last week against St Johnstone. David Turnbull come on, scored a goal. I think O, who made the goal in the sense that he was the player pulled down by Considine, I think that O will get some game time second half, assuming that Celtic have done their jobs properly.
I suppose I get the way that Hughes spun it, Gordon, but I'm not sure you would be playing with the Scottish Cup by giving a start to Haksabanovic or James Forrest or Kobayashi. Do you know what I mean? Because on one hand, Hugh references the fact that Celtic made all that money. Well, that shows you the gulf between them and St Mirren. Look, it's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm just reacting to the team there, and I think a few fewer changes than people expected.
Yeah, it's just the way Postecoglou goes about his business, Gordon. It's a very strong starting line-up. You're right, he could have brought in 2 or 3 other players, and Celtic fans would have been delighted with the team, because he's got quality in his squad. You look at his bench this afternoon. If he needs to go to his bench, he's got international players there with bags and bags of quality, can come on and turn a game. But that is a real statement of a starting 11 today.
Mark, you're the former Celtic man in here. What do you make of it?
You know what, I'm not surprised. They're playing to such a level at the minute that I kind of agree with you that in a knockout competition, why would you jeopardise anything? I get the whole fact the bench is so strong and any of them could come in, but when you've got a good thing, just keep it rolling along. Now, Turnbull certainly doesn't weaken the team. Hatate, obviously one of the standout players, but he doesn't weaken the team that much. So I'm not surprised at all. But Ange Postecoglou's kind of taking Celtic in a different life form to be known, because that bench now, those subs aren't just used for time wasters or 10 minutes here and there. They're getting big chunks of the game. So it's like it's almost 2 sides that he can bring on and just refresh everything.
What about St Mirren then? You will remember they went to Celtic Park in the league not that long ago, and they went for it and they caused some uncomfortable moments early on, but of course Celtic too strong in the end. How have they gone today, Gabriel?
They've gone strong as well, Gordon. 2 changes from their 1-0 loss to Hibernian last week. The team is as follows.
And now just a quick note from our podcast sponsor Lookers, the new name for Taggarts across Glasgow and the West. We are proud to announce that Lookers is now the new name for Taggarts. Taggarts has been part of the Lookers Motor Group for nearly 20 years, and over time, being part of one of the largest multi-franchise dealer groups in the UK and Ireland, has helped Taggarts to provide a great customer experience, value and choice to their customers across Scotland, and that's something that will never change. And now, they've decided though to change the name above the door to move forward as one. You'll find the same great service and friendly faces you've come to know at their Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms, working hard to give the best experience every time. You can now browse and shop online for your next car at lookers.co.uk and choose from thousands of used cars in stock with home delivery available. You can also discover the latest new car offers, book a test drive and book your next service online. Although the name has changed above the door, everything else is staying exactly the same, and you can still expect the same great service and friendly faces when you visit in store. Lookers, the new name for Taggarts across Glasgow and the West.
Carson in goal. Looks like it will be a back five. Ryan Strain, right wing back, with Marcus Fraser. We've got Gallagher, Richard Taylor and Scott Tanzer completing the back five. We've got Gogic, Keanu Bacchus and Mark O'Hara in the middle, and Alex Grieve and Curtis Main up top. The substitutes Minsky, Shaughnessy, Kenny, Small, Flynn, Kilty, Offord, Jameson and Watt. That is how the Saints line up.
Yeah, strong. Yeah, pretty similar to what they lined up. Celtic Park not that long ago, and Curtis Main was up against Kobayashi that night, and Kobayashi did well against him, but they carried a threat in the opening stages of that game. So Celtic will know that it won't be a walkover, it won't be easy, and they'll need to start the game in their usual fashion, quick and getting at St Mirren.
Cup final 2 weeks tomorrow. You don't want to be dealing with what would be the major shock of going out of the Scottish Cup on your own ground. 93 years since St Mirren beat Celtic at Celtic Park in a Scottish Cup tie. I couldn't go, I had school the following day, but that's the kind of odds against St Mirren this evening. And Ange Postecoglou, after the kind of week that he's had, speculation linking him with the English Premier League, Ange Postecoglou wants his team to go out there and get about their jobs properly.
That game actually summed up the challenge, Gordon. St Mirren had Ayunga and Main up top. Ayunga, as we know, is now injured. Erehon has left the club, so it was not an entirely different team. A couple of changes, and St Mirren tried early on. They put balls in the box. There was long throws. They went direct. They really tried to ruffle some Celtic feathers, and Celtic then won 4-0. So that Stephen Robinson will be all too aware of just how tough it is. Before you answer my question, how's about this?
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Livy 0, Inverness 2, and it's Sean Welsh this time who has scored for the visiting side. 62 minutes gone in a similar scenario to what Motherwell were in the first half, but now Livy are 2 down. They've got less time to react, and if the David Martindale hairdryer wasn't out before the game, he'll be plugging in as we speak.
In terms of embarrassment, I have to harp on about league positions here. This is the 4th best team in the Scottish Premiership. The 4th best team. And Inverness Cali Thistle are in the bottom half of the Championship. So that is a very poor scoreline. It reflects poorly on Livingston.
It's a romance of the cup here.
Yeah,
it's a romance of the cup.
I mean, Livy went out. Inverness went out of this cup, remember, and are back in because of an ineligible Queen's Park player.
Yeah, and they're taking advantage of that, obviously. Livingston are in trouble because that gives Inverness such a lift. 2-0 away from home, and you're into the second half now, so it's not like they've scored 2 early goals and there's a long way to go. Livy need, like Motherwell, a quick response.
Yeah, it's all Motherwell, but there is no equaliser yet. 3 Wraith players have been booked in quick succession. Spittle's just fired wide from 20 yards. There's a former Motherwell player who's shaking things up at Capello. Morton 3, Queen's Park 2. Connor Shields has got another one back for Queen's Park, and Airdrie had gone down to 10 men. Matthew Todd's now added a second, so maybe that bad day for Dunfermline at the top will turn around, because it's Airdrie 3, Dunfermline 2. So good games in the SPFL today. There you are, Hugh. What was it, the
M23 derby? Yeah,
Solly March has been Brighton
day,
one up.
Great day for us. Archie, my season ticket holding grandson at Brighton, he'll be happy. 3 of my grandsons were at Clydebank today. Michael, Ruben, Noah, and they watched the Bankies win 2-1. So go home and celebrate. Don't go near our house, go to your own homes.
I took a walk over to Clydebank Shopping Centre before the show, and I noticed quite a few people walking about with Bankies tops on and tracksuits and hoodies and all the rest of it.
Yeah,
the community feel.
Got a bite tea, didn't you?
What are you smiling at over there?
You got a bite tea over there, did you not?
I walked into that one, didn't I? Do you know what's worse? I can still smell it. It's everywhere.
It's all over your ear.
Everywhere.
Tell the story.
Right, so I walked over to Clydebank Shopping Centre with no thoughts of what I would get for my lunch, Hugh Keevins. I thought I'll just see what grabs me, and I thought, I have cracked this. I have thought outside the box. I'm not interested in your budget bakeries. I'm not interested in your 6-inch or your foot-long sandwich. I'm not even going the extra couple of 100 yards to Asda at the far side. As I walked past the local butcher, I clocked it. Ready meals out the butcher. How good that would be. Great fresh produce. Must be brilliant. Well priced. I picked myself up a nice satay and rice, brought it back here, heated it up in the microwave. I was feeling very smug about myself. You three complimented how good it looked.
Great,
and I sat down on a fairly flimsy couch and table scenario in the office, and I dropped the full thing, boom, right onto the carpet. And you know that horrible office carpet that every office has got? You get one, and it all gets kind of stuck in the carpet. It was on my trackies, on my hand, and because of the shock, I put my head in my hand, so I rubbed some of it through my hair.
Magnificent.
And I can still smell it, and I didn't get anywhere near as much lunch as
Brilliant.
I wanted.
Brilliant.
I'm glad you all
comedy in the
enjoyed it,
office.
though.
And not only that, somebody, and it wasn't the Dazzler, and it wasn't the Mushroom, and it certainly wasn't me with the Nokia, but somebody got the mobile telephone out and took a photograph of the food lying at your feet.
He then sweeped it up for me, to be fair. I was quite happy with that. I just sat back with my feet up and let someone else do it. It was quite a nice moment.
To be fair, you swept up a few bits yourself.
Aye, listen, what's the 5-second rule?
Yeah,
Not going to harm anyone, is
Back
it?
in the place. Yeah, it was funny. Funny, mate. Took it well, though. You took it well because
it was right before the show, and it's sort of lingering either from my hair or my clothes. I don't know. It wasn't great, was it? That'll teach me to be so smug about my choice. I saw you lot tucking into your unhealthy options.
Few grandstand finishes on the way here, you know, with the Motherwell scoreline 2-1 Wraith, with Dundee United trailing 1-0 to Kilmarnock.
Wraith just hit their own crossbar, which is never advisable either.
They sound as if they've imploded. So big finish, and in the Championship, of course, 3-2 now for Morton against Queen's Park, and 3-2 Airdrie against Dunfermline in League One.
Airdrie's the place to go this year. If you're an Airdrie fan, you're quads in, because guaranteed goals every week. Reece McCabe doing a great job there.
Yep, high drama there. If the English Premier League is your thing, Arsenal 1, Brentford 0. It's a former Seagull, is it not? That scored that goal, Leandro Trossard.
Yep. Traitor.
Who do Leeds play this weekend, actually?
Man United
again, isn't
double
it?
header.
Again, so assume they won't have their
nobody wants to take charge for that one.
New permanent
if you're
manager.
a Leeds fan,
It didn't go too badly the other night.
Yeah, the assistant and me a shout, maybe he'll just get it.
But I mean, if you're a
put us
Leeds
to bed.
fan, you watched 3 different men turn down the job. I mean, this is the English Premier League, supposed to be the biggest league in the world, etc., etc. 3 people have turned it down.
Yeah, we'll watch that one with interest. Someone, somewhere, for a rights-holding broadcast company is getting their microphone ready to tentatively ask Ange Postecoglou before the game.
Ange's first sentence will end with mate.
I've got
and at that
I've
point
got a
you're
big
sunk.
tie to look forward to, mate.
Yeah, at that point you're sunk.
Maybe ask me again afterwards. I don't know if you'll say that. Oh, sorry, Hugh, Crystal Palace have equalised against the Gulls. How are you faring with this teaser? Do you two have it yet in the studio?
Not yet.
Still
No,
not. Wow,
I think
okay.
it's difficult.
Remind us of it, Hugh.
I have played alongside Michael Gardine and Nani. I have been managed by Eddie May and Marco Silva. I lost the only major domestic cup final I played in while I was in Scotland. Who am I?
Okay, you have various answers here to pick your way through. Craig Graham thinks it might be Lewis Morgan.
I can see where he's coming from with that one. But it's not
Barry
him.
Welsh thinks maybe Thomas Gravison.
Tommy Gravison. No, he's still looking for Mark Wilson.
Bailey thinks it's Pedro Moutinho.
No.
Scott Burke thinks Bruno Alves.
No.
Okay, keep your guesses coming.
The Dazzler's got it.
What are you exhaling at over there? Have you
I've got it.
Good.
Yeah.
It took you a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't great today. A lot of people have got it quicker than you.
It doesn't matter to me.
Just
I'm
say-
still
no,
none. I've got it.
That's fine. Okay.
Fantastic. We're good today.
Well, I had nothing to do with that, which is
That's
making
good.
me suspicious. How you came up with that?
Oh, quite
I
easy.
told you he's been very twitchy on that phone.
I
today.
just, it's like a jigsaw. You start from the outside, work your way in.
What?
And all the pieces just fell in together.
You mean you don't open the box? You start from the outside?
But I've got it anyway, so I'm delighted with that.
Clock ticking at Starks Park, Tannadice.
4,436 there as well. A great crowd, a brilliant travelling crowd. And they will be alarmed at what they, well, to a point, alarmed because they're still losing, of course, but they definitely look like they are, at least at this stage, the most likely to score next. But there is, as Hugh says, there's 70 minutes gone now.
As a Motherwell fan, Gordon, do you have faith in an equaliser, or are you resigned to think
you always sort
it's never happening?
You always sort of fear the worst. I tend to be quite glass half empty at times, but it just sounds like they might. It sounds like they could.
Yeah, you fancy them, don't you?
Well, Fraser's half time
might not be enough to go through, remember?
Yeah.
The description of the game at half time from Fraser, speaking about a fitter looking, sharper looking Wraith Rovers, and now the word we're getting back from Starks Park is that Wraith Rovers are now all over the place.
I think
they were going to tire, weren't they?
Yeah,
after midweek.
Well, they've still got that adrenaline that they're in the next round of the Cup just now. If Motherwell had to score and it went into extra time, you're looking at players, you'd press their belly button, their legs would come off. There would be absolutely no chance after obviously what happened in midweek. So they'd be under pressure. Motherwell will be firm favourites for that.
Do you think Pep Guardiola ever used that expression? If you press their belly button, the legs will fall off.
Yeah, I would guess not. But there are only 20 minutes remaining, so we have passed the halfway point of the second half. Motherwell could be doing with getting another one soon, and you'd have to say if Livy managed to provide a sucker punch, that might well be that. There's quite a scoreline coming in from down the road, as the phrase goes. Leicester 4, Tottenham 1.
That's a real going over. Antonio Conte, of course, been back in Italy for a gallbladder operation, but they flatter to deceive Tottenham. What a stadium, what a player in Harry Kane, but I think he'll go in the summertime.
Yeah, there's not too many big talking points to bring you from those games at the moment. We did give you teams from Celtic against St Mirren, just minimal changes to the Celtic team, very strong in terms of the team you would expect. It's just David Turnbull in for Rio Hatate, so Ange Postecoglou not rotating from the beginning.
I wonder with that David Turnbull one, you know, there was murmurings of him going out in the January transfer window, whether that be loan or a permanent, and maybe he would have wanted more game time. Maybe the manager said to him, no, we need you here, you are really part of my plans, and I will guarantee you game time in the coming weeks. And there you go, he comes on last week, of course, gets a few minutes, scores, but now he's in for a start. He needs to make a case for himself again. I feel bad for him in a way, because every time he comes in for that one start, you feel like he's got
three goals in his last 5 games.
Yeah, but you feel like
midfield.
he's got to almost score a hat-trick from midfield to get included in the next game. That's the position he finds himself in.
I think Postecoglou really likes him though.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Yeah.
But it's about the minutes rather than the games that he's playing, isn't it? He's got 28 appearances this season. Today's number 29 and we're only in February, so he doesn't have a lack of games as such, a lack of appearances. Minutes. It would be the minutes probably.
I think you can see with him, I think he looks a bit dejected at times. I think he wants to be a bigger part, play a bigger role in the team, and he's got the ability to, but it's just the guys that are in front of him. You know, O'Reilly goes off his game, Moy comes in, and we're all saying, will Moy live up to it? He's became the best midfielder now, you know, and Turnbull's overlooked and he's 70 play catch up again, but got an opportunity today.
Yep, we'll watch that one with interest. We'll build up to it more as the afternoon goes on. We'll still to hear actually from the management there, and I know Ange Postecoglou will hopefully do some live stuff with the rights holders and give a bit of a line for everyone to obsess over, but we'll wait and see. Gone a little bit more quiet, you'd have to say, at Starks Park, so if Motherwell are properly knocking down the door, it's maybe they're taking a step or two back. 75 there on the clock, and Stevie Hamill will be feeling nervous to say the least.
That clock will be ticking down very quickly for Stevie Hamill.
Do you still think that's a sackable offence, that result, in the way they've played in the second half?
Yeah. It's about getting results. You're knocked out the Scottish Cup by a championship side that everybody's talking about. They'll be tired, they've only got a squad of 14-15. You're going up there, firm favourites, and it's just not. It's the back of the results as well. I think you can take a cup shock because that's what the.
And
that's
here's the
what,
problem: the sting has gone out of Motherwell now.
Yeah.
Fraser says this is now a better spell
oh well,
for Ray.
Motherwell will score if Fraser said that.
But no, you kind of need Stanton's just had a shot saved by Kelly. You know, you feel like you need to keep that pressure on.
Yeah,
of course. Keep your foot down.
Stevie Hamill will be hoping for that one twist of fate. Yes, the sting may have gone out of the side, but as the Dazzler said earlier on, this is what the cup's all about. It's about twists of fate. Now, I get the impression that Livy have had a shocking day and they're not going any place other than out of the competition, and well done to Inverness Caley Thistle. There still could be a twist of fate at Tannadice, you don't know. Likewise, at Starks Park, it doesn't need to be great. It can be the scruffiest goal in the history of the game. But if Motherwell get it, Stevie Hamill will be a very happy man.
So nothing else to tell you. Is there any pressure from Livy? Yes, a bit of pressing, but nothing really coming off. So yeah, David Martindale had his head in his hands when that second goal went in.
We've kind of let Ayr United off with this one here.
That's a big one.
Yeah, that's a poor scoreline from Somerset Park, and you know, Lee Bullen, the Ayr manager, he could do with a twist of fate.
I'm surprised at that one. I really am. I thought Ayr would have been firm favourites just to go and cruise into the next round. But so far, well done to Elgin. That's brilliant.
I don't know exactly, but what about is it about 18 places?
22.
22, is it? 22 places between the sides in the Scottish football pyramid. So
that is huge. That's a huge gap.
Quite something.
You know, because we're used to seeing teams that are pushing the top of the league in League 2, maybe doing a bit of damage, but Elgin, you know, just mid-table there. But you've got a goal scorer, Daz, like I say about Hester every week.
Yeah.
You on the coffee then next week?
Yep.
Make it a good one. Expensive.
Come on.
And don't spill it in the carpet.
I know. You'll get the own brand stuff at your green shop.
The
budget stuff, yeah. 39p stuff.
You're no plans to scale back your coffee consumption? No? You still feel like 15 a day is acceptable?
Well, yeah, I have my moments. Yeah, I like my coffee in the mornings and afternoons and nights.
Evenings and
whatever.
during the night.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was telling you, Gordon, I went to a great place today. In Denison, Alex pointed me in the right direction. You couldn't have 15 of these.
Strong
proper,
stuff.
Authentic, strong stuff.
I think he could. He's immune.
Alec Ray's at Sunderland today, where he's
he loves Sunderland as well.
Doesn't he?
Oh, he'll be so torn.
Are they winning?
I don't know the score, but that's where he is.
He loves Sunderland.
He does that.
Hero there, major hero.
Yeah.
We'll find out the score in a little while, but that
0-0.
That clock at Starks Park is still ticking away.
I saw a video that Reading uploaded this week, and it was of some of their quite well-known players actually. Tom Ince, Paul's son, Andy Carroll, and they were doing like penalty competitions. I think they had to try and I think they were deliberately trying to hit right into the top corner. It didn't just look like you could score in any other simple fashion. And Alex was involved, and he had the Puma Kings on. I'm convinced Alex Ray sleeps in his Puma Kings with the tongues hanging out. And to be fair, if you go and check it on Reading's Twitter, he blasts it straight into the top corner, then gives the same sort of wide boy Denison celebration that he used to do when he won Beat the Pundit in here.
Yeah.
You know the one.
Yeah.
You can imagine it. So I had a chuckle to myself when I saw that during the week. Some things never change. We've got a red card for Dundee United. I think it's a second yellow.
2 weeks in the trot for them.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it is. Yeah. So Aina, he's been sent off as his debut. He's on loan from Huddersfield. So not a great start. I did say the sending off would maybe change it. Airdrie 3, Dunfermline 3. Matthew Todd with his second of the afternoon. So
that's unbelievable.
Is that Dundee United?
You can't really talk your way out of a 3-goal lead that becomes 3-3 if you're Rhys McCabe. But
I guess a sending off and a penalty helps swing it. But
I'll guess your question. You're going to say, is that Dundee United done for? Yes. Now it's 10v11.
Well, Kelly obviously went to Fir Park and were down to 10 men and ended up coming back from 2 down, so they'll know it's possible.
but that doesn't suit my
There's a
hand.
bit of unrest at Tannadice.
Yeah, clearly.
You know, Tony Ashcar coming in for a lot of criticism up there.
Oh, wow. How does this interest you as a scoreline?
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Livingston 0, Inverness 3. Billy Mackay again. What a finish, says David Friel. And I think he was. Did we not have him on one of the teasers? I think that's him round about the 150 goals in Scottish football over his piece, which is a very good return. A curling finish into the top corner. And that is a disastrous result for Inverness.
Yeah, David Martindale's a man of plain speaking.
For Livy, sorry.
And that's an embarrassment. There's no other word that can be attached to that. The scoreline will soon be the result, and that's an embarrassment. And it's an embarrassment for the Premiership. The team fourth in the Premiership have gone out to a team in the bottom half of the Championship, and that is an embarrassment.
Tell David to get down there into the corridors beside the dressing room, because that will be worth hearing. I wouldn't like to be one of those Livy players.
Get the dictaphone out, see what you can pick up. Quite. I must be missing Marvin Bartley's defensive influence. That'll be it.
The Palmerston Pep.
He's got a free week today, does he?
Yeah.
He's not up to much. I'm sure he'll be listening. I'm sure.
Well, I don't think MD could have predicted Elgin, Wraith Rovers and Inverness so far.
Very true. You know, we always ask for that one shock. Really, we've got three that are on. They're absolutely on right now.
Yeah.
Livy fans, I know they don't tend to turn up in great numbers, but they are walking out.
It won't impact on Lee Bullen. You know, Elgin going to Ayr and putting them out the cup won't impact on Lee Bullen because he's got them second in the league, and Wraith, Queen's Park rather, are 3-2 down at Morton as we speak. So it might be quite a good day in terms of the league.
True.
But it will impact on Stevie Hamill and Motherwell. That description that Fraser gave us of Liam Kelly going into his goal when the half-time whistle sounded and getting dog's abuse from the Motherwell fans, that tells you that, that they're not happy. We had the midweek banner about passion for the badge.
I think there was a second banner as well. We'll provide the support and something along those lines.
It will impact on Stevie Hamill. It will impact on Liam Fox at Dundee United if Kilmarnock win there, because you can't have Tony Ashgar, the CEO, saying my door is always open, you can come and talk to me. The fans will not take kindly to a cup exit on top of being bottom of the league. So tough times.
There's a Scotland international who scored for one of his new clubs. He's becoming a man of many clubs, although I think he's played here before, hasn't he? And he's back. Ollie Burke at Millwall.
Been around the block, hasn't he?
QPR really struggling. They struggled a bit towards the end of Michael Beale. They've certainly struggled since he left majorly. Lyndon Dykes still recovering, having been in hospital. They're 2-0 down at home with Ollie Burke scoring for Millwall. When I told you Leicester were 4-1 up on Tottenham, it got chopped off VAR, but they have now scored a fourth for the moment until that one gets chopped off.
Which makes it even worse, but for VAR it'd be 5-1.
And
oh my goodness.
Look at that.
Wow, Airdrie 3, Dunfermline 4. What a turnaround. A title winning afternoon, you might say. The type of game that they look back on.
What a fantastic job he's doing
doing a great job, Rhys McCabe.
I know how he feels. I've been the 3-4 brigade. I've stood in his shoes.
Wow, here we are, goal at Starks Park. This is it, one way or the other. And it's for Wraith Rovers. And it's the debutant Isma Goncalves on loan from Livy. He's just moved, he's making his debut, and he has scored to make it Wraith 3, Motherwell 1. A fierce shot across Liam Kelly into the corner. Is that it for Motherwell's cup hopes?
Sure.
And is that it for Stevie Hamill's time in charge?
For sure, it is the end of their Scottish Cup hopes. Now the Motherwell board have a major decision to make. They have 14 league games left. They are not that far away from survival, but they are in a 4-month-long downward spiral. They haven't won a league game in 4 months. Their last victory was in the Scottish Cup away to Arbroath. That doesn't matter now. They're out of the Scottish Cup. This weekend, they have to make the decision, because they either gamble on keeping Stevie Hamill or they gamble on a new man turning this around.
Look, I don't want any manager to get the sack. I've been there, but I just don't see how it's possible to continue this way, because I keep going back to it. You're put in place to win football games. They can't win a football game. They struggle to win a football game. Now, away from home, Starts Park, Wraith Rovers, yeah, I think we were thinking that could be difficult, but I think most of you guys are expecting Motherwell to win it. When they come back into 2-1, you're thinking, right, bit of confidence kick on. I don't see how they can go forward with them.
Motherwell are on the brink, but we've got a goal elsewhere.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
And it's a late blow for Elgin because Ayr have equalised. Scrappy, Fraser Bryden 1-1 in the closing stages, and maybe that cup shock is not going to take place because Ayr have hauled themselves level.
Did Roger Hanna have any plans for tea?
He'll be gutted. He might be there for the long haul, that's for sure. We head to extra time. What an afternoon for Alex Rae. He's just celebrated a goal, but then he's realised that it's Sunderland that scored, and he's now employed by Reading. And then he's looked up and seen that it was former Celtic player Patrick Roberts that scored for Sunderland as well. So just to carry on a conversation we were having, Motherwell are on the brink here. If you've just this second turned on, Wraith have just gone 3-1 up. Motherwell pulled one back just after the restart. Lots of pressure. Looked like they were going to somehow turn it around after a disastrous first half, but Ismagun Calves might just have hit the final nail, certainly in the Scottish Cup coffin, and maybe Stevie Hamill as well.
One of the awful things about this job is that you have to discuss a man's livelihood, and it is a case in point that Motherwell, if they go down, it will affect the livelihoods of more than just the manager at Fir Park. And at the moment, the downward spiral continues, and they have a decision to make, and it has to be taken this weekend. If they decide
Wednesday night, remember, at home to St Mirren,
they have to decide this weekend. In the next 24 hours, they have to decide definitively whether Stevie Hamill stays or goes, and then, having made your decision, you have to stand by it and see how fate treats you thereafter.
You have to have a succession plan, though, surely, because the Motherwell board must have known that this was a distinct possibility. When you see the run of results, they must have saw the cup draw and thought, look, we need to be ready just in case. Any good board would. So you mentioned it, Gordon, there is a game midweek. Can you then sack a manager and have an interim takeover for a period, an extended period, like Aberdeen get away with it just now because we're there in the league? Motherwell, I don't think, can afford that.
It's also a hugely uncertain time. Alan Burrows was stepping down, then the phone goes from Aberdeen as the time frame goes, and then he's not quite gone yet, but he's going to.
How does that work?
How and who and when is recruiting a new manager? I know there's a board, ultimately it would be a board decision on who got the manager, but in terms of being part of the process, are you looking for a manager and a chief exec at the same time, when you're near the bottom of the table and you're going out the cup?
They've hired a recruitment agency to look into the question of Alan Burrows' replacement. I don't think that Alan Burrows can take any part in the decision-making process with regard to a new manager because he's about to become the employee of another club. And
I think that's fair.
It's for the manager, the chairman rather, and his board members to, as I say, for me, it's done in the next 24 hours. Either the manager goes or he stays, but it has to be a definitive decision in 24 hours.
Let's round this off, Hugh.
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I have played alongside Michael Gardine and Nani. I have been managed by Eddie May and Marco Silva. I lost the only major domestic cup final I played in while I was in Scotland. I am man of many clubs in many countries, Ryan Gold.
Ryan Gold, well done if you got that right. And a few of you did, I have to say. But the quickest onto the podium were Brady, 67 in third place, JB second fastest, And by name and by nature on this second half teaser, a class above was the winner. Well done. Good Ryan Gold knowledge. Well done to you, Gordon Dale. You got it. It just took you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Took you a little bit longer, but
I got there in the end. It doesn't matter.
Happy with that. A late change. An Aku on for Middleton for Dundee United, down to 10 men. But maybe they could just snatch something to send this one to extra time. Even extra time looks to be beyond Motherwell, certainly beyond Livy as well. So we've got 2 definite cup shocks on our hands here, big ones at that, and we are just minutes away from them.
Well, we can call Motherwell an embarrassment. We can call Livy an embarrassment. We can call Dundee United just a continuation of a bad run.
And Roger Hannah, get the sleeping bag out because you're going nowhere.
We've got an extra half hour. Ayr United 1, Elgin City 1. Fraser Bryden, the Ayr United substitute, in the 90th minute, rescuing the Championship promotion hopefuls and dashing Elgin City's chances for now of a first Scottish Cup quarter final in 55 years. Elgin simply terrific. They took the lead 4 minutes before the break. Kane Hester's 26th goal of the season. They should have been ahead before. Ross Draper and Tom Finlay both missing chances. Then in the second half, Owen Cairns and Russell Dingwall, and then Darryl McCarthy, all missing chances to put this 5th round tie to bed. Ayr finally mustered some attacking intent late on. Dippo Akinyemi volleyed over from Dara O'Connor's cut back. Then Paddy Redding flashed a drive wide from distance with 5 minutes to go. And then, as the game went into added time, a corner on the far side. It was actually mishit. It fell for O'Connor. He somehow worked the ball into the 6-yard box. It deflected into the path of Bryden for a point-blank finish in front of the home fans. There was still time for Akinyemi to hit the post, watch the ball roll along the goal line and somehow come back out. Otherwise they would have performed an amazing turnaround inside the 90. As it is, we've got another 30. Ayr 1, Elgin 1.
So extra time to be played. High drama there in Ayr. What else have we got? No full times yet. 3 minutes added on at Tannadice. That was about a minute and a half ago, so we're nearly done there. And it looks like it will be Kilmarnock that progress away from home. So they're having not that much trouble winning away from home in the Cups this season. They just can't do it in the league. They won at Tynecastle in the League Cup, didn't they?
Well, Derek McInnes has got this knack in the Cups of getting his teams to the latter stages. Absolutely. And it's proven that way again this time round with Kelly.
And that's the thing, if you can just get through, if you can avoid stupid results like Livy or Motherwell, and fair play to the opponents, you know, Ayr or Elgin will go through. And as we've now seen, Wraith and Inverness, you know, it is opened right up this draw today.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting come Monday. And Darvel might be in it, for heaven's sake. It'll be the oddest looking last 8 you've ever seen. But good luck to them, because they get there by their own endeavours. And Livy and Motherwell are out because of their lack of endeavour today.
Well, I hate to say, but the game of the day was probably not in the Cup. It's finished Airdrie 3, Dunfermline 4. Were they 3-0 up?
3-0 up.
3-0 up. Then they go down to 10 men, give away a penalty, and Dunfermline score 4 times in the second half. Cup shock number 1 confirmed, done. David Friel.
Full time, Gordon. Livingston 0, Inverness 3. Davy Martindale will probably go ballistic after this, but it was all about Super Cali. What a win for Billy Dodge's men. They made the most of their second chances. They produced a major shock against a Livingston team currently 4th in the Premiership. Hugh said it was embarrassing. It probably was. The Livingston fans are not happy. Billy Mackay scored twice. He's now in 95 goals for Inverness in total. Sean Welsh also netted in a huge win for Billy Dodge's men. Inverness, remember, were knocked out by Queen's Park in the last round before they were then kicked out, and are now looking forward to the last 8. What a story. Livingston fans left well before the end, as I said. David Martindale, he's sitting down there just now. He looks absolutely shell-shocked. He lost Bruce Anderson to injury after just 10 minutes, and they badly missed him. Livingston still dominated the first half, but they were really wasteful in attack. You couldn't say the same about Inverness in the second half. They were absolutely ruthless. Mackay grabbed the first goal in 52 minutes. Jay Henderson picked him out, and he found the top corner from the edge of the box. Just 6 minutes later, it was 2-0. Nathan Shaw was the provider this time. He crossed on the right. Sean Welsh got the header in off the post. Martindale had his head in his hands at that point, but there was worse to come as Inverness made it 3-0 in 80 minutes. The ball was walked to Mackay in the box, and again he found space before finding the top corner. As I said, it's his 95th goal for Inverness. What a record. A lot of Livy fans left at that point as their cup bid died. For Inverness, the dream keeps going against all the odds. Full time, Livingston 0, Inverness 3.
Brilliant result, Inverness. Terrible result, Livy. Summed up like that, I would say, Hugh.
Yeah, be very interesting to hear and to read David Martindale's quotes, because this is an embarrassment, and it must have been one awful performance, with the greatest respect to Inverness and to Billy Dodge, the manager.
Full time at Starks Park. Fraser Wishart.
It is full time, and the cheers are to my left from the Wraith Rovers supporters, because the result that many people thought might happen, Premiership Motherwell are out of the Cup and Championship. Wraith into the quarter-final draw, deserved to win over the piece. So we saw the best and the worst of Motherwell. Worst in the first half, they just went at the races, 2 down to a Gullen penalty and a Sam Stanton long range goal. In their best, their performance in the first half hour of the second half, they were excellent and hemmed Wraith Rovers back into their penalty box. Van Veen scoring and for long periods dominated, but they couldn't get the second goal, and it was sub Esma Concalves with 5 minutes to go that got the third goal to ease the nerves. They say they were 2 up at half time, and the scoreline didn't flatter Wraith Rovers at all. Open at 11th minute, Jamie Gullen cut in from the left, his shot struck Callum Slattery, and I thought it was a penalty, but strangely no Wraith Rovers claims, and it looked like a penalty to me. But Nick Walsh pointed to the spot, booked Callum Slattery, and Gullen himself stood up and hammered the ball down the middle into the back of the net. 2-0 in 38 minutes, Gullen again involved. Turning shot was deflected, Kelly parried it into the air, and he couldn't get the second ball, and Sam Stanton hooked the ball into the back of the net to put his team 2 up. Nothing from Motherwell at all, only a team. Van Veen shot straight at McDonald, and there's no surprise, there's 3 changes at half time by Stevie Hammond. It made a real difference. Johnson, Crankshaw, McKinstry all on. Van Veen 25-yard free kick saved by McDonald. In 50 minutes Van Veen did get the goal back. He was first onto the loose ball, and his left foot shot deflected into the net with McDonald going the wrong way. It was all Motherwell now, pressure on the Wraith Rovers players. They were hemmed in their own box. 3 Wraith players booked in quick succession as Motherwell looked sharp. The goal giver Marie boost corner after corner, free kick into the box, but the Wraith defence stood still. Spittle inches wide, 20-yard shot. Then Van Veen did really well in the byline, fired in his cross. Nolan tried to clear it, and his clearance hit his own board, but that was the last time that they really threatened. Ian Murray had been a worried man, and he knew his team had been up against it. Stanton gave them some relief. Sharp turning shot, well saved at the near post by Kelly, but the sting had gone out of the Motherwell attack, and it was no surprise in 80 minutes, 5 minutes, real relief for Wraith Rovers. Scott Brown, outstanding all game, set Goncalves in behind the Motherwell defence. They claimed for offside, he was clearly onside. He took his time, and on the angle fired a fierce shot across Liam Kelly and into the back of the net, although the goalkeeper got a touch. Motherwell's bad season continues. All they have to concentrate now is 14 games to stave off relegation and somehow find some better form from inside them. Deserved win for Wraith Rovers. They're in the quarter-final draw tomorrow. Full time at Starks Park. Wraith Rovers 3, Motherwell 1.
Huge result, Motherwell fans. Give us a call, 01419511025. Where do you go from here? Ayr United have a penalty early in extra time, and it's finished at Tannadice. Dave Galloway.
Yeah, Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 1. A fairly even but uneventful start seemed to set the tone for the first half. Kilmarnock carrying a bit more danger. Birigiti saved at Doidge's feet following a corner. Doidge couldn't connect properly with Armstrong's cross and headed over the bar, and they were getting into some decent positions at the other end. Middleton's free kick was charged down, and that was about it from United. Plenty commitment and some crunching tackles from both teams, but excitement was in short supply. Vassell tried to change all that for Killie with a good run and a low shot that was deflected for a corner kick, and it was no surprise overall that this was goalless at the interval. The hosts started the second half very strongly. Sibbald's powerful long-range drive was turned round the post by Walker, and Smith's header from Middleton's cross clipped the woodwork. However, Kilmarnock went ahead on 55 minutes. Vassell's header converting Armstrong's corner, his first goal for the club. United tried hard to hit back, but the visitors looked pretty comfortable. After 78 minutes, the Terrors were down to 10 men. Debutant Aina getting a second yellow card for a rash challenge. The home side had the onus on them to push forward, and that they duly did, with Kilmarnock content to play on the counter-attack, which they did very effectively. United then bottom of the league and now out of the Scottish Cup, but Killie march on to the last 8. Dundee United 0, Kilmarnock 1.
Another big result. Ayr United scored that penalty whilst we were hearing from Dave, so it's the classic example of Roger Hannah thinking, why did you not just do that in the 90 minutes and get me up the road?
Oh, been there many times, but at least Somerset Park relatively handy for the house form.
Exactly. Right, we are there. It is open line time already. Now it is a bit different because the Celtic game is still to come in 30 minutes time, so you can build up to that one. But by way of reflection, Motherwell fans, where on earth do you go from here? You've just been knocked out the cup 3-1 by Wraith Rovers. A really, really dramatic result. How much pressure is on Stevie Hamill? Must it change now? How do you feel about everything? If you were at the game today and you're starting to make your way back, then do pick up the phone and let us know. If you've just listened on from home, you'll probably be just as angry. So it's 01419511025. We'll reflect on that. We'll build up to Celtic St Mirren. Early previews for Rangers Partick Thistle as well. The open line is next, so let's hear from you.
After the action, it's your reaction.